this is also the time where I check to make sure everything is fine on my back end, because every once in a while some interesting things happen.
Yep. As is natural.
Do you do any streaming of your own at all?
No, I want to, but I need to get a second monitor.
Oh man, it's so nice. I recently upgraded to a pair of 27-inch monitors. It's a life changer.
I'm planning on it for sure. I tried to do it with my laptop alone, and it was very non-intuitive and frustrating. So I think I need to get another monitor to actually make it feasible.
Yeah, when I only had a single monitor, I was also using my laptop to do it in the background. Just like I had my laptop for Twitch chat, and it was like doable but rough.
Yeah, I have had a lot of people on the Facebook group and stuff ask me to do it, and I've been meaning to, but just haven't recently gotten that started.
I'll look forward to when you do. There's not a ton of four color loan content out there, kind of hence
No,
things like tonight.
no, Matt Soleil is the big one, and he's been taking a break for, I don't know, close to a month now. I think he's in school and doing some other things. And then Bob Huang was streaming it for a while, and I don't even think he's playing Legacy right now. I haven't heard from him.
Yeah, I haven't seen any Bob content in a little while.
He might be. Last thing I heard is that he was like trying Artifact. So, uh, other than that, not many people stream Loam. Those are the only ones I know of.
I also think the deck is very difficult, and I think that shies people away from just picking it up for random streams.
Yeah, the main issues with the deck are that it's exceedingly hard to pick up and play. The learning curve, I would say, is around 6 months to like know what you're doing for every matchup and get comfortable with the lines. At least that's what it was for me. And then also, it's the most expensive deck in Legacy because you have Mox Diamond, Chalice, all the lands, Tabernacle, um, and Leyline of the Void is even expensive. Liliana's. I mean, it's just like really hard for people to get into it on paper. So I think those things keep it from putting up a lot of results.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site dedicated to legacy, death, and taxes. And with me tonight, I have Connor Folse, aka Loamerboy, here to help me play some four-color Loam. How you doing, Connor?
Good. How are you, Phil? Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
Glad to have you here. This has been a long time coming. We've talked about this stream for a little while, but I'm glad it's finally happening.
Yeah, me too.
So I know a lot of people aren't overly familiar with who you are. Could you give me the 30-second version? Who are you? How long have you been playing Legacy? That sort of stuff.
Well, I'm Connor. I live in Seattle. I've been in Seattle most of my life. I've been playing Legacy for about 3 years now. Magic for close to a little over a decade. I've played Loam pretty much the entire time I played Legacy. I started with lands, and then I ported over. I did a lot of training with Jody Keith, so I'll give him a shout out. He kind of taught me how to play lands, and then I learned a lot about sequencing and all that from him. And transferred that to Loam, and I've just had a ton of practice, and I've tried to put myself into the community, and I've gotten very involved with people who play the deck and the Discord on Facebook and everything. And the deck is great. It's a lot of fun. It's very difficult, but it's really rewarding. So I don't have any big paper finishes yet because I really don't have enough time to travel right now.
Yeah,
So a
I
lot of what
get
I'm
that. I
playing
run
is
the teacher life, so those tournaments that are like, "Hey, you need to take Friday off to do it," I'm always pretty hesitant to do so. I get like 2 of those a year.
yeah, a lot of what I do is play online. I did really well last season. Ended up finishing with 12 trophies. This time around, I've played a lot less. Just been doing other things. Had some life stuff and getting busier. So, but I still, if I'm playing, I'm probably playing this deck. I don't really play modern and standard much anymore.
Okay, so I understand this because I've played around with this deck a little bit, but like, why is this deck good? Why would someone want to pick up this deck? Because when you first look at it, it looks like a somewhat random assortment of effects.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of say some negative things about it and just say it looks like a pile or You know, if you don't have a Mox Diamond in your opener, it's terrible. I don't think those things are true. What's really cool about the deck is it's kind of this strange combination of like Jund, Maverick, and lands put together. And there's so many different lines and so many different ways to play and ways to win. And what makes the deck so hard to play is that not only are the lines unintuitive, but also you play the deck entirely differently against every matchup. So, like against Miracles, you're going to be playing way differently than you are against Delver, and it's not just like the deck kind of has the same game plan every time you play it. So I think that's what makes it so hard to approach and turns people off, because they'll lose for it with it for a while, not really knowing how it works, and then they'll get frustrated because they don't see it takes a long time to pick up those lines. But when you do, the deck becomes very rewarding, and at least for me, I think the deck's in a really good position right now. So
Yeah, I think a lot of what you're saying echoes similar things that I've said about D&D in the past, where you spend a little while getting beat up, you spend a little while losing to your own mistakes, and I think a lot of those mistakes with this deck are actually just fetching the wrong land,
yeah, I
as
agree.
silly as that sounds to say.
I don't think it's silly at all. I mean, I think sequencing is extremely important. You can lose a game regardless of what deck you're playing against if you fetch the wrong land on turn 2. The game is just over. I would argue the first 3 or 4 turns with this deck are the most important. You often just play out your hand. So if you're playing out your hand early, you've got to play it out correctly or you just lose. And that just takes a lot of time to figure out how to do.
So to kind of give a good example of a sequencing error, a lot of times, since this is a 4-color deck, you think, I want my 4 colors. And so, as a rookie mistake, you would fetch Savannah into Badlands. But that combination might not let you cast your Knight of the Reliquary on the next turn, which is a huge problem. And similarly, since there are a handful of mana-intensive cards at different costs, we have black and Liliana, green-black and Abrupt Decay, green-white and Teague and Knight, you can be really punished for just getting that wrong land.
Yeah, that's totally true. Oftentimes you want to start with like Bayou Scrubland, but that can change because if you have a Punishing Fire in your hand, maybe you want to get Taiga. If you're trying to draw into X out, you want to have colors for that. I mean, it really depends on the situation. That's what makes this so hard. You're not fetching a certain way. It really just depends on each individual game.
So speaking of that, I think that when a lot of people look at this, they see mid-range deck, but after playing this a bit, it's my impression that your role in the matchup is very, very... Let me say this in a less dumb way. Your role in the matchup changes a lot more than other decks change their roles. Like sometimes you're supposed to play very aggressively. Other times, like you end up boarding out a lot of your threats, and you just play a weird control deck with a bunch of planeswalkers. Do you want to comment on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's accurate. Like against Miracles, you're boarding out all your knights, and you're playing this weird 4-color planeswalker control deck. But against like Delver and Eldrazi, your knights are your best card, and you're really trying to just like go over the top of them, and it sort of plays more like a mid-range deck. And it's really just dependent on the matchup and on what you're playing against. But it is kind of a chameleon style deck. Sometimes you're really just sitting there trying to get Punishing Fire and Loam going. Other times you want Bob going. Other times Chalice is really good. Other times it's not. I mean, it's just so dependent on matchup. But what I love about the deck is it has tools to beat every deck in Legacy, with the exception of Sneak and Show, which I think is a horrendous matchup and one that you probably should just expect to lose.
I won that one on Saturday, and chat was like, how did that happen? That's not supposed to happen.
It's very rare. It's pretty impossible. The deck auto loses to Omniscience unless you have Knight of Autumn, and even then they can just instant speed release the ants kill you. So it's pretty terrible. But pretty much every other matchup in Legacy you have some game against. I find that this is very like a lot of the matchups. I think you were saying this on your stream the other day. A lot of the matchups are very like 52-48, 55-45, and so I think the experience with the deck is how you find that extra 5% that means the difference between winning and losing. And that's just what takes the time. It's all the little things that add up, similar to D&T.
All right, so let's just say a couple of quick things about the deck list before we get into some matches here. So I've talked about 4-color Loam in the past. So why don't you just highlight some of the cards that you're trying out here, because there's some new things. So why don't you tell me about some of your experiences with like Vraska, Knight of Autumn, and Marchesa, since those are the new cards.
Yeah, so we used to play Garrick Relentless, and after Grixis Control got popular, that card became pretty terrible because you'd play it, and then it would just get bolted, and you'd spend 4 mana to make a 2/2. So Vraska, what's really great about Vraska, I found, is it gives you this inevitability starting at a high loyalty. It can either act as a source of card advantage if you have extra lands to sacrifice. It's just absurd when you get Life from the Loam going because you're just pretty much drawing cards for no loss. But it also is a May ability, so you don't have to sacrifice. You're ticking up loyalty, and it's Abrupt Decay on a stick. I found it to be great against both decks like Miracles and Grixis Control, but also worth boarding in against things like Delver and Shadow because of the Abrupt Decay ability. Johnny's been a staple in this deck forever. I don't. Some people are cutting it now. I find that
I
absurd.
think that's a mistake.
I
That
think
card's so good.
Great. It's forever been my best sideboard card. I've won so many matches off the back of that card alone. I'm never going to cut it. Knight of Autumn is kind of just an upgrade over Rex Sage. I'm still not even sure that it's correct because of Blood Moon, but I think with the amount of basics being played right now, Blood Moon is on a decline, and so I think Knight of Autumn is more playable than Rex Sage because you get the life gain against burn, and it becomes a 4/3 if you don't have anything to destroy you with it. So it just gives you more utility. Queen Marchesa is absurd. I credit Matt Soleil. He came up with the tech. The card is great against Miracles. It's great against Grixis. It's even great against Shadow because of the Death Touch. It's just really good. Monarch is insane. You know this from Palace Jailer.
Oh yeah, and unlike Palace Jailer, this one in some cases almost gets better when your opponent is the Monarch because you just start generating more bodies.
Yeah.
And you use those bodies to either just like abyss them or take it right back, and you put them back into that terrible position again. And it creates a really cool subgame.
If they blow up Marchesa, you're okay with that because you still have Monarch. And this deck has a lot of ways to keep it because you have so much removal, like Punishing Fire, and you have creatures, and I rarely ever lose Monarch. People complain about it because they're like, oh, I lost the Monarch. And I think a lot of it's like, you have to play it at the right time. Sometimes playing it is incorrect. So you have to be in a good position to play it and keep Monarch when you need the card advantage. I'm also trying out 2 trophies and 2 decays. I still don't know if that's correct or not. I've liked it so far. Trophy's awkward sometimes, but the ability to kill a Jace or an Angler at instant speed for 2 mana is great.
Yeah, so Jace has been the big one for me. That's basically the only card I want to blow up with it that can't be Abrupt Decay.
Jace is a huge beating. Yeah, Jace is like one of the best cards against Loam, so you really need to deal with it as soon as possible. And Trophy does that more efficiently than anything else in your deck. So I've liked 2/2. I want to say one thing. There's a lot of lists popping up recently with people playing Marchesa in the main and dropping a land or dropping a knight. I don't agree with that. I think that I've played this deck with 26 lands for a while, and it's just awkward to me. You get more 1 land, 1 Mox hands that you have to mulligan, and this deck already mulls a lot. So I still like 27 lands. I don't think that there's really anything I want to cut in the main right now for a Marchesa. You can play it that way. I get that she's great, but I think you just want the consistency. The deck's biggest weakness is itself. It loses often to incorrect mana, or when you're drawing like a Dryad Arbor and a Maze of Ith, and you can't do anything. And you really don't want to increase the odds of that happening more by dropping lands out of the deck. So I know that Matt's has been on 27, and Matthew Vuk, who's another excellent Loam player, is on 27 still. I still think that's right. I just don't agree with going down a land. But, I mean, some people are trying it right now. Just thought I'd point that out.
All right. Awesome. So for everyone in chat, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and throw them to me. Connor is not watching the chat, but I'll throw any questions over to him. And if you have any questions about the deck list specifically, you can hover over the Cardboard Live icon on the left-hand side to take a look at everything, and you can scroll over them to see more specific images of the cards. All right, let's get to it.
Awesome. I just want to say thanks again for having me on here, Phil. Been watching your stream for a while, and really enjoy watching you play, so glad to be here.
I'm glad to be doing my part to like go and promote good Legacy content. There's not enough of it out there.
No, there's not, and it seems to be decreasing. Maybe that's just a trend I've been noticing lately. But
Well, I feel like we were spoiled over the past 3 or 4 months prior between like PTA 25 and then GP Richmond. I feel like we had a huge influx of content there, and then some of it dried up.
yeah, I agree. Hopefully, we kind of get that back. But I still think Legacy's great right now. I know there's some arguments that it's worse, but
I'm loving it. I'm streaming with almost a different deck every day or two, and with the exception of that one really bad Enchantress stream I played, I felt like I've had a chance to like 5-0 or play well with every single deck that I've registered in the last few months.
yeah, I agree. I think it's in a good position, and it's a lot better than playing Grixis Delver 40% of the time.
All right.
See, this is one of those awkward hands where it's so good, except you need another land.
Yeah, this one has to go back.
Yeah. I'd keep this.
Yeah, this is a turn 1 Chalice, and I suspect but can't confirm that my opponent is playing Miracles.
Okay. Well, this is fine. Keep that on
top. I want to top
then.
that.
Yeah.
So, which one of these do we want to pitch? Do we just ignore the fact that Back to Basics is in our opponent's deck and pitch this Forest to keep both of these like better mana producing lands?
I would personally. It's hard because you want to think about drawing a Lily of the Veil, but the Forest is really good, and so is the Grove. So I would pitch the Badlands, honestly.
Okay. Farish, we had some technical difficulties in getting things started, so the webcams are not displaying properly. I got to pick one of the two: get the webcams to work or get the audio to work. My past guest stream was with Skype, and so I knew everything that was going on there technically. We tried this one with Google Hangouts, and we got the audio working. We've got the screen sharing working, but I had a camera issue that I don't know how to fix.
Was that on my side?
No, it has to do with my webcam wanting to use both the Google Hangouts and wanting to use it on the broadcasting software. So it's on my end. I just don't know how to fix it.
Okay.
And I just press forward.
Yeah, sorry, I got rid of Skype a long time ago.
Okay. So
I would play Bob here.
That was my inclination as well.
Yeah, you've got Chalice on 1 to protect from swords already, which is great. If you draw a Teague, the game's probably over because they can rarely beat Teague Chalice on 1 game 1.
Ooh.
That's a great draw.
Hello, library.
Yeah, this is great. I don't even know if I'd swing just because you don't want to get blown out by a Snapcaster, but...
Is it really that big of a deal if I drew the library, though?
That's true. I guess you could do that. And plus, if he's wasting a Snapcaster to block, that's probably okay. Yeah.
Yep, that's fine. So our opponent probably has very few threats in the deck at this stage.
Yeah,
so,
if this hand is all 1-drops, which it probably is, you're in a pretty good spot here.
There's going to be a couple Snapcasters in the deck. There's going to be a couple Mentors in the deck, and a couple of Jaces. Maybe the odd Teferi. But I don't have to worry about my opponent cantripping into a lot of those things, and that's the big deal.
Yeah, and I would also, now you've got a Ghost Quarter, so if you draw Loam, you definitely want to start getting him off white. That's another great draw. I think the game, honestly, you might have this game locked up already. Oh my god.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, this is pretty good for you. So here, I would actually pay 8, I think.
These are all cards I 100% want.
I would consider playing a Chalice on 0 so you don't get blown out by EE.
Okay.
That's my first thought, and then I would play Teague.
And then I play Teague afterwards because I can't do Chalice afterwards.
Yeah, if you have Chalice on 0, Chalice on 1, and Teague, they can't Entreat, they can't Swords, they can't EE. They're like pretty locked. They can't Jace. If they don't have a Force of Will here, the game's over.
And it seemed like they were F6'd, so...
Yeah, that's game. I think. I don't see how they win here.
Yeah, now I can just start like punishing firing my opponent while also Teague, like just cracking in with Teague. Maybe I don't even crack in with Teague and avoid
I
losing
would
that
not
one to
swing with Teague.
Snapcaster.
Yeah, Teague is too important to get blown up by Snap.
Note that this whole like punishing fire thing it's a real slow kill.
This is interesting because I would almost think about you have Ghost Quarter and Trophy now for the white sources, so that's a line to think about here. I don't know that you want.
I don't think I want to go that deep.
I would put both knights back on top and just play a knight.
Yeah, I don't think I need to like too aggressively go and try to attack my opponent's mana when I already have the win.
I mean, I wouldn't attack here. Normally, I would try and get him off white, but because you have Teague and Chalice Lock, they can't entreat. This is probably, this is one way they could try and get back in the game, but you've got Trophy.
Yeah, I have Trophy, and I also have Grove to clean up something else as well.
Yeah, and you have P-Fire too. I put both knights on top.
Yeah, and I just take my land.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I want to start this fight? Do I start it with Assassin's Trophy, and then if my opponent casts something in response, Punishing Fire?
Yeah, I would do that, I think, because you also have the Knight, and you can, there's things you can get with Knight, Maze, Second Grove, other red source. I mean, I think you're okay here. If they counter Trophy, you can P-Fire in response.
It is a very real possibility. Oh,
yeah.
Opponent's just done. They've had enough.
This is probably your best game one start possible against Miracles. They cannot do anything. Okay, so here you play a different game. I think is terrible against Swords and Terminus. So we don't know if they're on the AK version, but I like to assume they are nowadays. So I don't bring in Thalia against AK. I instead keep in Scavenging Ooze and one Green Sun. So I would board in all the Planeswalkers and the Charms, Knight of Autumn, Marchesa, and take out the Knights.
So
one Green Sun, a Maze, and one Wasteland. That's how I've been boarding recently.
Yeah, so Felchmaster in chat, AK refers to accumulated knowledge. So it's a 2-mana blue spell, so 1 colorless, 1 blue, draw a card, and then for every other one that you cast, you get to draw 1 more card for each copy of accumulated knowledge in your graveyard. So the first one cycles, the second one draws 2, the third one draws 3, and if you get to the fourth one, you get a whopping 4 cards.
So there's an argument to bringing in Thalia against Miracles. My issue is that you're also trying to play a bunch of walkers, so it slows down your own game plan. And Scavenging Ooze is quite good if they have AK. Usually I think Scavenging Ooze is terrible against Miracles, but with the new AK versions, I like keeping it in over Thalia, and I don't know if that's correct or not, but that's how I've been playing it.
So I had the same discussion with the chat when I last played Loam, and they were of the opinion that like 1 Green Sun out and 1 Loam out for both Thalias might be correct.
I could see that.
Which I could see.
That. I think Loam is rather good against Miracles. I don't mind taking out the Green Sun. I think it's not great. So maybe take out a Green Sun for 1 Thalia even.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, because like we'd be Green Sunning for Teague or Ooze, and that's relatively weak at this stage. Like Teague is a very, very powerful card, but if that's already been dealt with, if that's already in our hand, then Green Sun is essentially just like, let's get Dryad Arbor.
I actually think Loam is quite good against Miracles because it lets you dig for Grove and Punishing Fire faster, and that's like one of your best weapons against them. So I've never taken out a Loam against Miracles personally, but that's me.
Yeah, you're not playing it for like Wasteland lock.
No.
Oh, this hand is awesome.
This is a great hand.
Holy cow.
Your hands have been excellent so far. It's a good start for you.
Yeah, like we have 2 insane 2-drops plus Lily and
I'm not
Punishing
sure
Firelock.
I'm not sure I have had a hand like that game one against Miracles in a while. That's pretty absurd.
So Connor, aka Loamerboy, is our guest.
Oh yes, hello everybody. If you don't know me, I am not a pro Magic player, so I may not be known very well, but here I am. I'm known for this deck. That's about it.
Yeah, I don't even mind that as a draw either.
No, it's a little awkward. You wanted a Mox there, but not the worst.
Yeah, you pretty much always want Mox in the first 2 turns if you can manage it. You don't need it. It's not like, ooh, that's great as well. I can't cast it yet, but that's fine.
No, so they probably are holding up Counterspell or Swords. I mean,
It's kind of a wash here which one of these we throw into their first spell. Either one of these is likely to get answered.
I would lead with Bob because you want the library to resolve more.
I agree with that.
They might just Swords it, which is whatever. That's fine. The only concern now is that they back to basics you, and that's like a huge beating. So there was also an argument to just sitting there. But we'll find out.
I don't think I want to play scared of back to basics when my hand is this good. Like there's times when your hand is relatively soft and like because of that you can kind of like play around some stuff. Yeah, all right.
Well, as we were just talking, yeah, there's definitely like because you had decay, there's definitely an argument to just sitting there and waiting to decay.
I'm not even all that worried about this though. Like as long as we draw a black land, abrupt decay can't be countered. It takes out the back to basics. Yeah. I'd more or less only be scared if my opponent taps out for something like a mentor or a Jace this turn.
Right. And because they mold the 6, I mean, they ended up having it, but sometimes they don't have it. And now, of course, you're going to not draw a land. But that's fine. If you lose this game, you get to be on the play game 3.
Yeah, see, here's the power of accumulated knowledge. Like, the first one was bad, the second one was a draw too, and then any other accumulated knowledge this game is just backbreakingly good.
Yeah, here's the point where AK just takes over the game if they keep drawing them.
In my experience, AK shines in matchups like this one and Death and Taxes, where you kind of expect things to be very long and very grindy. It's like a terrible, terrible card against like a bunch of your combo decks and such, because the games are either over or relatively over by the time anything matters.
Right. You're still in this. I mean, even if they drop a Jace here, if you draw a land,
yeah,
you can
decay back to basics, and then
you
Assassin's Trophy
Fire,
or Punishing Fire.
Yeah. Honestly, my biggest concern out of Miracles right now is Entreat. They're removing back to that thanks to Anurag, who's been playing a lot of Entreat builds. Obviously, he's an excellent Miracles player. But Entreat is usually game over if they land it for more than 2 angels. You just concede because you have no way to deal with it. So
yeah, your answers are like just hemorrhage cards, like Lily minus Abrupt Decay a token. It's bad.
Yeah, it remains to be seen if we really have to have a card just for Entreat, but I'm not there yet.
Agate, thank you very much for resubbing. 9 months is basically forever. Thank you for your support. I really do appreciate it.
And if you get this hand going, you've got Chalice on 1 and Teague, so there's that.
I'm trying to figure out, like, what is making my opponent pause so much?
I don't know. That's a problem.
So I wonder if my opponent has, like, Force of Will in hand, and they were debating if they should leave up, like, Hardcast Force or tap out for Mentor, potentially dropping Force if they don't hit a blue card or something.
Yeah, they might be looking for a blue card off that Preordain.
All right, so that was 1 bottom, 1 top. Awkward.
Yeah, game's over, I think.
Yeah,
since you didn't draw that land last 3 turns, you're pretty behind now.
I agree. I'm not gonna like scoop it up just yet, but it's rough.
It's just that's the inherent risk with playing cards on turn 2 against Miracles on the draw. They can just untap and back to basics you, and so Sometimes it's right to just sit there and do nothing until they play it, which is a risk if they just don't have it. So it's kind of hard to predict.
Yeah, there's going to be like 2 copies in the deck. If you like just live in fear of the card all game, you just might be putting yourself into a situation where you lose out on too much tempo and you die because of it. Like,
Right.
I have absolutely no regrets on tapping out for that Bob.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I'll probably lose this game because of it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's probably it.
That's good.
Now you get to be on the play. I wouldn't change anything. I think I just run it back. I guess there's an argument to bringing in second Thalia on the play as an early play, but I'll leave that up to you.
No, I liked what we did before. Okay.
I would keep. You have a turn 1 either Lily. I mean, it's a little risky if they just force it, but like it's pretty sweet.
I'm not throwing this back. This is an awesome YOLO hand.
Yeah.
So I think I'm supposed to lead on Lily last. And then follow up with Lily Veil? Because if I just play Lily Veil and plus, then I discard Lily last.
I agree. Also, you want them to force Last Hope over the Veil, because I think the Veil is better. So they have the counter. I'd rather have them use it on that. I would pitch Wasteland and Dryad Arbor and leave Grove as your land.
Yes, I 100% agree. You're not usually wastelanding miracles out of a game.
That's why I like taking one out. A lot of times they're just a colorless source. If this resolves, you're in a really good spot.
It's really hard for miracles to interact with planeswalkers, period.
It is very difficult.
If you do one on turn 1, it's sometimes insurmountable. Alright, opponent has the force.
That's okay.
That's
fine. The other advantage to this hand is that you have double mocks for back to basics. It kind of loses hard to EE, but, you know, maybe they just don't have it.
Yeah, basically hoping that, like, opponent doesn't have, like, second force or something like that.
That would be pretty insane, especially, I don't know why they would keep all 4 forces in against you, but...
The more I play on Moto, the less I try to rationalize my opponent's sideboarding decisions.
That's fair. That's a great draw. Because now it means you have the moxes to get out of anything with decay. The issue is now...
Like, do I plus?
Lily, yeah.
I think I plus. It's just unfortunate.
See, decay is like your best card against miracles. That's why it's hard. I guess you do plus just to keep the tempo, but it's like...
It's feel bad.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Decay is just so good against them. It's like the card you want to see the most. And some people are running a 3-1 split with Decay and Trophy because of this matchup. And that may be correct. I'm not sure yet because I haven't been playing with Trophy long enough. But I think you do want that tempo advantage.
Yeah. Like, one of the things I want to do is I want to try to do as much damage as possible before my opponent can get to, like, ooh.
So awkward. Now, man, this is like the worst Liliana the Veil feel bads right here.
Karate Dome, we had some issues with getting the cam working, so we got audio working and decided to start the stream rather than keep troubleshooting.
Yikes! I don't know that you plus here.
If I draw a land and I get to go like land and slam the queen next turn, that is game winning.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't plus. This card, Marchesa's the best. Like, it's so good against miracles. It's hard, but I wouldn't plus.
I'm gonna snip this one and send this to you later, and I'm gonna have you send that to your friends and all the Loam groups and ask what's the play this turn.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Like, the play is honestly, the correct move is probably to plus Lily, but like, I don't know. If you get to land Marchesa next turn, that's a pretty big game.
But if I just hit like any other card that I want to cast, then like I cast that and I discard this.
Yeah, it's tough. I'll leave it up to you on this one.
I'm gonna plus.
All right.
I don't know that it's correct.
This is the biggest feel bads. These last two draws.
Like our draws have been so good, but they're draws that we can't utilize at this moment.
Now the issue is that if he's got a Council's Judgment next turn,
that is the fear.
You're really gonna wish you had Queen, but so it goes. I think you're still in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I think if my opponent
Storm is in his deck, but whatever.
Yeah, I think if my opponent does not have Council's Judgment, this game is very close to over.
Yeah, even if he plays Mentor here, you just sack it.
Yeah, I have Mentor
Back
minus.
to Basics does nothing. He's probably going to play Back to Basics here anyway. Or unless this is Judgment. Yeah, this might be Judgment, which is really sad.
Yep, all right.
The punishment.
That's fine.
Now you draw a land. Oh my god.
Tilt!
Yeah. I probably would have kept Marchesa. It was really close, but that's rough.
Please don't have, like, follow-up Haymaker. Okay, good.
So harsh.
I have...
Well, if we lose this match, we're just going to lose it on making the correct play and getting punished anyway. That's not the worst.
No, like I said, you usually don't get to Wasteland Miracles and have it matter, but because they were forced to fetch the Tundra in order to Council's Judgment, we do get to knock them off with some mana.
Yeah, now if they have Jace here, we're pretty far behind.
Oh, jeez. These are sick rips from the opponent if that is a Jace. All right.
Man, I think if we had Queen, the game would just be over.
I agree with you.
It's the hard knock life.
But the thing is, like, we're playing around Council's Judgment, and only Council's Judgment.
Yeah.
There's not any other card that cleanly answers that.
You have a lot of good draws still.
Yeah, like, I can draw Assassin's Trophy, I can draw a Planeswalker of my own.
It's too bad, because I think our hand was really good. We just, like, now we're drawing lands. We just mistimed the draws.
Okay. I don't know how good Counterbalance actually is against us. Man, look at all these lands we've got. Aren't they great?
Pretty sweet. That can be the problem sometimes with this deck, is that when you go into top deck mode, you play 27 lands. Sometimes you just draw lands. That was another argument to keeping Marchesa, is it was such gas in this matchup, and if you weren't going to draw anything else, it's a pretty big game. But I don't know. It's hard to say at the time, because if they don't have Council's Judgment, they're way behind.
Ugh. I'm going to hold... opponent even knows about... Oh, no. Opponent bottomed my card, so the opponent doesn't know about this, so I'm just going to hold it.
Yeah, there's no reason to play it out right now.
Yeah, so if opponent doesn't have Council's Judgment there, and then I just get to, like, play my top deck plus Lily again, the opponent would have a very, very hard time coming out of that. Opponent bottomed again, so we get another live draw.
Yeah. Not great.
Strong. The unfortunate thing is that at this point, the opponent probably has some number of counterspells or other answers to our threats. Plus, there's, like, this counterbalance.
this game's probably over, unfortunately, and it hinged on that Marchesa.
At the same time, you know, if it didn't, if we didn't draw the land as the next card, it would be still quite bad to have in hand immediately.
That's true. Probably gonna swords it or do anything, bounce it. I think this is just an example of a game where your opponent's hand just lined up very well against yours because they had the early force for the first Lily, they had the Council's Judgment for the Veil, they had the Jace the following turn. It just, they seem to have a good hand against what we were trying to do.
Yeah, and like that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Like we still had a really interesting decision point that game.
I think if I'm at, I think in a vacuum, discarding Marchesa was correct. But I think if I were at like a tournament with that decision, I would have just YOLO'd and kept Marchesa because the card is so good in that matchup.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one to discuss.
Yeah,
I'll look forward to hearing what a bunch of other people say about that.
yeah, it's weird. I honestly don't know. I don't know what people would say. It'd probably be pretty split.
And this is why I like Legacy. You can sit here and you can think about these plays and you can come up with like very rational arguments like why you should or shouldn't do anything. And a lot of times in formats with less complexity, you don't end up with some of these same like very polarizing, very interesting choices.
Yeah, that's what I love about the format. There's so many decision trees. Like, I feel like in particular, as of late, Modern especially has just become this kind of like matchup roulette format where you don't get to make decisions. You just kind of have a matchup, and either it's good or bad, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of play to it anymore. And standard is just very like land to bomb or have removal. That's kind of like the format. It's very Magic at its core, which is fine. But Legacy has these like complex decisions and trees and lines and interesting things you have to think about and small, minute choices that you don't see until you have like years of experience with your deck. And it really rewards like playing the same deck over and over and over again. And that's like what I love about it is I was kind of struggling to find my place in Magic for a while because I never had the time to try and really just be a pro or go for that road. But I think I found it in just like being a specialist with one deck and like just practicing all the time and being a known person with that deck, and that's like really cool. And you can really only do that in Legacy, I think.
Oh yeah, I became one of the D&T guys, and that was kind of my role in the format for a long time. And it's only recently when I've started like branching out, doing the streaming and the donation deck lists and whatnot, that I've really expanded my range.
Yeah. Well, this hand's not great, but I guess it's
yeah. Good. This second hand is fine. Like I'm gonna get to curve Chalice into Night, maybe have a Wasteland in the middle somewhere.
I would.
What do you think of this? Top?
Top it, yeah.
It's just a generic answer, and if our opponent isn't playing like some spell-based combo deck, we probably want one of those at some point in the game.
This is a slower hand, but you know, you have the opportunity to waste them on turn one. If they play a duel, you can just play out your fetch otherwise.
A chat comment says, I think the best argument for Legacy being great is that Flicker Wisp is the best creature.
That's fair. It is very good. So this is interesting because it's very tempting to waste here, but also that Aether Vial is like an enormous issue.
I think I want to lead Verdant Catacombs so I can't be wastelanded, and almost with certainty, Assassin's... So, the awkward part is that if I Assassin's Trophy the Vial, I give my opponent a land, which helps them to cast their spells.
Yeah, that's true. You do have a follow-up Wasteland. And a Chalice. I don't... The issue is that in these matchups, this is probably Maverick, which is a great matchup, by the way. But the issue is in these matchups, Aether Vial is like such a huge card. Maybe it's not Maverick. Maverick doesn't play Vial. I don't know what this is.
So this might be like the bad Vial Maverick deck from a long time ago. This might be a Humans deck.
No, Humans might be a good call. I would... I don't know. There's an argument to both for sure. I think I would play the fetch and pass because
that's what I'm inclined to do as well.
Vial is just so good. You get to play them on this they get to play you on this uneven level with Vial, or if they don't have Vial, the matchup becomes a lot easier. Just inherently, I find that against D&T too. Vial's the swing card.
So we'll get a lot of information this term in terms of like what we want to do. So my opponent might be like the... Oh, man.
Well, that's interesting.
So this actually adds an interesting layer of complexity to what we do.
I still think you trophy the Vial. Yes, they get a basic, but they don't have any other lands. And so the following turn, you get to Chalice on one and Wasteland them.
Yeah, that just seems nuts.
And if they don't draw land off the top, then they're just down to a forest or whatever.
So do I want to double fetch and go Savannah Bayou here? Or do I just want to play it off a Grove?
I would go Bayou Scrubland.
Okay.
So you have double black. You don't really have to worry about Wasteland right now because they're already mana screwed. So I'm not sure why they would Wasteland you.
So, chat, it won't be Slivers. Slivers gets to play all of the rainbow lands it possibly could desire. So they don't need something like Savannah.
So this is another instance where Trophy's awkward, and Decay is just better here. So I'm always like noticing where I want Trophy and where I don't. This is one of those situations where I much rather would have had the Decay.
That's fine.
It's okay. Yeah, Stoneforge is honestly not great against this deck.
It's also going to be very bad when I take them off of their white source.
And they still didn't draw land, so I would waste them, obviously, and Chalice on one. So
yeah.
They can't play another Vial or a Mom or a Swords.
Yeah, note that I don't just want to run the Bob out, even though Bob is absolutely the Nutter Butters in a matchup like this, because I really want to protect it from Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, Mom is also insane. Or, I mean, not Mom. Knight is also insane here. Okay, so they drew the land, which is fine.
Oh, man. I would love to draw, like, a Punishing Fire, and for them to not fetch right now, so that when they go to fetch, I can just Punishing Fire that Stoneforge Mystic. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Although the question is, like, do I want to just nug the Stoneforge, or would I rather just save that for the piece of equipment itself?
Yeah, that's interesting. So if you could play a Grove and pass, and then they'll obviously, Stoneforge in their sword, and you could decay it. So that's a line. Or you could just decay the Stoneforge right now, and no matter what, they won't be able to attack you next turn.
I can also just play a 5/5 Knight.
That works too. Then they do get to, equip their Stoneforge with the sword, but you still have the decay. There's a lot of options here.
So, since I have this Chalice on one, my Knight probably isn't going anywhere.
No.
I kind of like playing Knight this turn so I can Bob and Decay next turn.
Yeah, that's fine. You also have, you could Bob Decay. You also have the possibility of getting a Wasteland if they fetch for a duel.
Which they would have to do in order to, like, put the sword in now.
Yep.
And if they have something like Batterskull instead, it's actually not that big of a deal because guess who's a 5/5?
I actually think Batterskull's garbage against Loam, and I don't understand why people keep it in. Just hot tip for D&T player. That's me.
Ooh, that is that's a bit annoying. So
That is pretty annoying.
note here, I
Now if
can't now
you,
block because Remorseful Cleric will nuke the graveyard.
yeah. I guess you just take this.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to lose your knight.
So I have Maze of Ith in the main deck. That checks the Batterskull.
Yeah, I would. He still has swords, so. Also, it's very tempting to wasteland him here as well. I think I almost like getting the wasting his Savannah, and then you could decay this Remorseful Cleric and make him use it.
I was thinking about that as well. So there's this sword, right? But
Yeah.
it's not of relevance in the next like 2-ish turns. So I think I like point decay at Cleric. Opponent will sack, get rid of our lands. Then I can play out Bob and Knight for a wasteland.
I don't. Can you do all that? I guess you can. Oh yeah, because you have the Grove. Yep, that works.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Remorseful Cleric's a really weird
Yeah,
main
that was
deck
like their best possible card
addition.
right there, which is strange.
So the awkward thing is that I have to like choose a land to pitch here.
I would pitch the Bayou because you want the white. Makes it awkward if you draw Lily, but I think the fact that they're still drawing lands off the top makes this play worth it. Normally, I would say don't do this, but you know, if you leave them with a forest and they don't draw a land, they're just stuck there.
Yeah, and note that this Batterskull is not a big deal after next turn. Neither is the sword.
About Batterskull. Yeah, they're so far. See, I don't think they drew a land. They're so far behind
Yeah,
now.
and I think our opponent's super messed up. I think that Stoneforge was supposed to crash in here.
Yeah. Now you're probably winning this game. Yeah.
All right, great.
Let's see.
There's just a question of like how aggressive do I want to get with this decay?
Yeah, I would. It's weird too because you could get Maze, but then you're just basically down to a Maze and 2 Groves. I don't hate. I guess I don't really care about Batterskull. There's no reason to decay it. I would almost pass here, even though that sounds weird.
No, I can see that.
And just kind of wait and see what he does. You don't even care about the sword either. They don't have the mana to do anything.
All right.
Okay, so I would activate Knight at the end of turn here. I think decaying the Germ is fine, because if you decay the Germ, they don't have nearly enough mana to get the Batterskull back to their hand or do anything with it. And then you can start hitting them with Knight. There's also an argument to getting Maze, since you probably are drawing lands off the top with Bob anyway.
All right. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way.
Yep. And then activate. You could either get Maze, or if you don't feel comfortable just losing all your mana, you could just get a fetch and grow the Knight.
I'm very likely to get another land. I'm actually more worried about my life total than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind getting maze here.
And if I get maze, it also just like untaps my knight.
Yeah, which is pretty big.
Ooh.
That's good.
So Mox, discard Windswept Heath, cycle Baron Moor, see where that leaves me.
I would actually, well, yeah, that's probably fine.
There's like the double black cards to keep in mind, but
yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're like that, but you're still so far ahead that I don't think it matters. I would swing with
both now.
Yes.
And now I will set my end of combat.
Yeah.
Stop. That's super relevant with this deck.
He's just going to take it because he's at 29.
Yep. And now end of combat, we go ahead and
Yep.
untap this guy. I can't actually like use it right now.
You still get it as a blocker,
but
if you need it.
Still a blocker. Actually, on that note, do I untap my Bob so that if my opponent attacks in, I can just take my Bob off the table?
I like that better since you can't use the knight.
Yeah. In note, I don't really need to put another Chalice on one.
No.
Opponent very clearly not on the one drop train currently.
Oh, that's whatever. Okay. So they have all the equipment. Doesn't matter.
Good Bob. Good Bob.
So you just win now. I would play Lily, make him sack. I wouldn't even bother with the library. It doesn't matter. It just attack.
Oh yeah, I've no reason to use Knight to go get mana here.
No,
I'm just gonna crash in for 9.
This game's over. I don't know why he's not conceding, but that's fine.
He's not conceding because he wants to see if I deal 8 damage to myself with Bob.
Sure, yeah. Right. Opponents always try that line. It never works. Although I once killed myself to a double A line flip off Bob. That was pretty unfortunate.
Everyone has those moments, everyone. Oh, Punishing Fire too?
Oh, hey. And a Wasteland. The game's over. Okay.
I didn't even get to like Wasteland myself or Wasteland my Wasteland, so they would Wasteland me and just draw my Knight so it's lethal this turn. Oh, it's so disappointing.
So I'm going to assume that this is Maverick with Aether Vial, which is like kind of weird.
I almost wonder if it's like Death and Taxes with green.
That could be too.
I think it was very unclear based on that game because our opponent didn't do a lot. Like, what's throwing me off about them being D&T is that they had basic Forest, and that would be super weird for a D&T deck that's splashing green.
I think this is just Vile Maverick.
Yeah. All right.
Honestly. So I would... The only differences between how you board with D&T and Maverick is that you want to keep in stuff like Scavenging Ooze, and because it's good against opposing knights, which I assume he must have knight if he's playing green. So I would bring in the Knight of Autumn, the Charms, the Swords, Tabernacle, all the Walkers, and Marchesa.
Okay.
And then...
What do we want out? Chalice out? Teague out?
All Chalice is out. Teague out. Green Sun's out. I take out a Mox just because it's a grindy matchup, and sometimes Moxes are bad top decks. You could take out the Tranquil Thicket, and then probably one Loam. Either that or like a Ghost Quarter is probably okay to take out.
Yeah, that's just the question of like which way do I want to approach this. I think I want to cut a Loam because my opponent has main deck Remorseful Cleric. Actually, fair. I bet my opponent is D&T because Remorseful Cleric seems like a great recruiter of the guard target.
Right. Yeah, maybe it's just D&T splash green. But I still want to assume they play Knight of the Reliquary because that's like the only reason you want to leave in Scavenging Ooze. Otherwise, the card's bad.
So if I were to splash green in D&T, I'd be doing so for like Knight of Autumn in the main deck and Chokes in the sideboard and basically nothing else.
Okay. Well, in that case, you could take out the Scooz instead of the Loam.
Okay.
Scooz is pretty terrible unless he's playing Reliquary, which is really, it's just like your anti-Knight card. And otherwise, I think that's it, right? Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's run this.
You're on the draw. They mold the 6. I keep this hand. You
I'm
have
inclined to
Bob.
keep it, but we're mana light for this hand,
Yeah,
and
if they have
getting
Wasteland.
wastelanded would really suck.
Yeah, you can lead with the Verdant, so at least you get to play your Bob. Or if you just draw Mox, that's pretty amazing.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I would just lead with Verdant.
Note that in our current fetching situation, we're likely to fetch in a way that leaves us off of one of our colors.
That's fine. You don't. I mean, it depends on what they do here, I guess, but that's annoying.
Yeah, so opponent scried to the bottom, so that was their draw this turn, was that vial.
That's a good draw for them.
Abrupt Decay? Come on,
Yeah.
Abrupt Decay.
It's
Okay.
fine. More lands is fine. So, I would just play the Bob here, I think.
Do I want to do that off of playing this Wasteland? And I guess if I do that and my opponent wastes, they attack this aggressively.
Yeah, you could just do. You could fetch for a Scrubland and play the Wasteland and play Bob off that. And that way you have mana for Punishing Fire and. Although if you don't want them to waste the Scrubland, so I would maybe leave the Scrubland to get off the Heath, play
Okay.
Bayou and get a Badlands with the Verdant, maybe.
Okay, I like that. So, Chad, if you remember earlier how I was talking about like how important what lands you choose to like get with this deck can like actually be a very difficult decision. That's the sort of thing that just happened here, where like it's obvious that Bob is the play, but there's so many different permutations of like how you can put that Bob into play.
Yeah, you just don't want to get your white wasted, so it's better to just save it since you have the fetch in your hand. You don't care as much if they waste your Badlands.
Okay, like our Bob lived. This is great.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Uh,
If I can answer this vial, then just like wasteland locking them out of this game will be great.
yeah. I think I would, since they have Vial on 1, but if they Vial on a Mom, they can't activate it.
Yeah,
So,
I think I'm just gonna play a land and pass.
well, I mean, you could play land and pass, wait to see what they do, but I would think about punishing firing the Thalia at some point.
Oh yeah.
So I like that though.
So I'm gonna probably punishing fire the Thalia during their upkeep before they have a chance to go and put in a Caracas.
Yep.
No.
You also have double Lily and a Knight. I mean, they're pretty good position right now. They've only got 3 cards in their hand.
Yeah, they've got 3 cards. I have multiple
No
planeswalkers. They don't have Mom. If I draw a Grove, punishing fire is just devastatingly good.
Mom. Oh, that's annoying. But you have a Lily.
It's not really annoying though. Like unless they have another 2-drop to put in off a vial.
Yeah. Oh well, nothing matters anymore. You're fine. I love this deck so much.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, I would Swords the Prelate. But so there's an argument. I don't know what they would have on 2. You know better than me because you play these decks more. But there's probably an argument to playing Lily first and trying to sack and then using the swords after.
Yeah, if they had a Thalia, they probably put that in on their turn.
Yeah. I think
So
Lily sack into swords is fine. What I like, unless if they don't have anything at 2 that they could protect, you could swords the prelate now. I don't know what they would have at 2 that protects prelate.
like the useful thing about playing a Lily and just using it to sack is if they have a 2, it'll go in. And if they have like a Phyrexian Revoker, they'll put it on Lily, and then I can swords the Revoker and
sack the
edict
prelate.
this.
Yeah. Yep, I like that play. It honestly though, I think it matters what you do. That was just an absurd 2 draws off Bob.
Oh, alright. Edict you. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to do something that might look a little weird. I'm going to go ahead and fetch right here on the super, super, super off chance that there's Leon and Arbiter coming down off of that file.
Yeah, I would get a Savannah
It's
here,
like
actually.
super, super fringe, but I want to play around it.
Sure, that's fine. I don't hate that. All right. So he's going to get something, doesn't really matter.
All right, they get Sword of Fire and Ice.
So he still has to sack. Let him sack whatever.
Well, actually, no. I want to go ahead and sword Stoneforge Mystic because it has 1 power, and then the Edict effect kills Prelate. So I just kind of get a freebie.
Fine. I didn't even think about that. 1 extra life is a thing.
If I had 1 more mana.
Also, something cool with this deck is if you have a P-Fire in the graveyard and no Grove, you can get it back off of swords. Which easy to remember on Moto, but something you have to keep in mind in paper.
So I'm not really sure why my opponent's like Thalias are still in the deck post board in this matchup.
Don't know. Can't answer that, really. Don't know.
All right, so opponent did end up having Knight as well. Ooh, another Bob.
Well, you have this other Lily.
I think I want to attack in with this Bob, see if they block, and if they block, I Lily and plus on Bob, and then it dies.
You mean, Last Hope?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. I could start there.
I might want to, like, plus with my Lily before all of that. This Lily.
I like that.
And I think I just discard a life from the Loam.
Yep.
And plan on dredging that at some point. And just make these Knights into big bigs.
Although, I guess the downside of discarding with Lily is that they could discard a land.
Well, they missed a land drop, right? So...
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think they have a land.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless they kept a land for exactly this purpose.
Well, guess they did. That's fine. So now attacking with Bob is a little more awkward.
Yeah, I don't think I do that now. I think I just play out... I don't really want to give away the value of just, like, taking this Lily off the table to play another one in minus.
Yeah, so the thing you could do next turn, if you don't, you could sack with this Lily, and then you have another Lily to sack again.
And that would play around something off the file.
Yeah, so I kind of like playing a Knight here of your own, and second Bob is a little risky at this point.
Yeah, I don't think I want a second Bob.
You could play a Knight here and then Wasteland their Savannah or something.
To just keep them off of the number of times that they can activate their Knight.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that grows their Knight, but...
I could also just play, like, Knight and Bob. And... risky.
Yeah, you could also keep the fetch for Dryad Arbor, too.
Alright, so... I think I'm going to go ahead and play... Or that's going to need to tap the white. So I think I'm going to go ahead and play out my own knight.
Yeah.
And
I don't hate wasting Savannah. I know it grows their knight, but it's not going to matter. If you get to untap, you get double Lily, a knight activation. I mean, you're like, it's pretty hard for you to lose if you untap. Like, they'd have to have swords for your knight right now. I don't know what their knight's going to do. Guess they have a bile activation.
yeah, it felt like another Stoneforge to me. So this one gets Batterskull if they still have it in.
Yeah, that's fine.
So they've got Batterskull and a sword. Not super worried about either. The Batterskull's a touch annoying, but I feel like I'm winning on the size front. Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Opponent now in a really awkward position where my knight is probably going to be one bigger than their knight.
Yeah, they could wasteland and swing in here. But then you just...
And then I still have, like, the fetch up.
Yeah.
I guess they could wasteland themselves.
They could do that. Seems... I mean, they have 2 pieces of equipment in their hand. That's it. So they have no vial activations, which is good to know about.
Yeah, opponent can't really attack there because if they attack there, they're priced into wastelanding themselves, which probably keeps them off of any pieces of equipment for the rest of the game.
Yeah, you're in a pretty excellent spot here, I think. I would take a draw. Okay, so now you can activate. You can activate Knight to get Cabal Pit. Pit their Stoneforge. That'll force them to bring in Batterskull, and you can double sack.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have enough colored mana to do that.
Should have 6 mana available.
All right, so like, float 1, or like float 1, get Cabal Pit that. That ties up this mana. And then do I have...
Well, you can't sack the Badlands off the Knight. It's not a green or white mana.
Right.
So.
I was just counting black sources, but I actually only need 4 black sources, so that's fine. Okay.
You could also fetch for a Bayou or whatever with the Heath. You can...
yeah, so do I want to get rid of my Bayou here?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
This is why I love Cabal Pit. It's probably my favorite land in the deck. I think it's like criminally undervalued. Yep.
And
that's fine.
Note now that with Life from the Loam, I have Cabal Pit recursion for every turn for the rest of the game.
Yeah. So I guess one thing to keep in mind here before we like rush to make this line, he's got a Knight activation up, so he could go get Dryad Arbor if he has it to sack to Lily instead. But even then, I mean, now he's got no Knight activations left if he does that, because he's sacking the Plains and the Arbor. Then he just has Waste and Port and a Bile. So I'm almost okay with doing that.
Yeah, I think it's fine. And like, I still have a bunch of Planeswalkers and the relatively bigger board overall.
Yeah. Yep, he didn't have it. Okay. Or at least not yet.
Yeah. I mean, if he has Arbor, he has Arbor.
Yeah. So I would get a Bayou here. I believe you have a second one. And this, here's a prime example for everybody watching. This is why I don't play a Swamp. I guess you could have gotten Scrubland there, but I still like 2 Bayous because it's nice to have the backup.
All right, so if our opponent does have Dryad Arbor, they can crack me for a decent amount, or I can just chump block with Bob, and then I just have bigger knights.
Yeah.
I think if my opponent had Dryad Arbor, they would have used it the first time.
Yeah, it's very possible that I seems like they're like DNT splash green, so I don't know why you would have a Dryad Arbor. Oh, maybe they do.
Nope.
Okay. Excellent. See no reason not to swing.
Yeah, their last card is Sword of Fire and Ice. And I don't usually... Is there a Dryad Arbor right here now? Okay, I was going to say, like...
I think they were just trying to thin their deck. Yep.
So this is why a lot of times I don't advocate for splashes in D&T. Like, my opponent's green cards, like that random Knight of the Reliquary we saw, like, while that was fine and all, the fact that they had a bunch of wastelandable lands that I could just pick apart, and the fact that they did a little bit of, like, splash damage to themselves, both of those things were very relevant.
Yeah, I find those matchups to be fairly easy most of the time. I think Vile is the, like, only card I care about. Vile and Mom, really. Otherwise, you just have ways to handle their stuff. That's a mole. This hand is pretty bad. Sadly.
So, data seems to suggest that our opponent is going to be on Ant.
That's definitely a mole, then.
Hey, is
key,
turn 1 Chalice
snap
good
key.
against Ant?
Yeah, snap key. Bottom. I would pitch the Ghost Quarter.
Ghost Quarter.
If they are on Ant, this is a pretty good way to start.
Yeah, this shuts off the discard, and that would protect our
Cantrips,
Bob from something
discard,
like
rituals.
Thoughtseize.
Yeah. And you get to follow up with the Bob here.
Which, Bob is a real great way to get out of a mulligan.
Yeah. It's funny, I think some people are like, do you Chalice on 0 or Chalice on 1? I think it's always correct Chalice on 1 against Storm if you have the opportunity.
Yeah, assuming you can do both in the same turn, Chalicing on 1 is much, much more powerful.
Yeah, they do get this, like, Diamond and Petal, but you don't really care. That's unfortunate. Would have really loved that to be a land. Funny thing here, though, is you have Punishing Fire, which can sometimes, like, sneak a kill against an Adnaz.
So our opponent has LED, which means that they can get a bunch of the stuff out of their hand in the case of having something that otherwise might get stuck. We have some interesting decisions here.
Yeah, so I actually like... I
think I like passing and Abrupt Decay on Lion's Eye Diamond if they start doing anything.
I would decay the Diamond now. I mean, is there a reason to wait? They're not going to be able to go off at instant speed on you, so getting rid of it now means it's just gone.
Right, but they might do something like start to go off because they have the LED, and I can stop that. So
yeah, that's true.
The hypothetical world where they go like Dark Ritual, then I tag LED. Because there's basically nothing that can punish me in response other than... Alright, Dark Ritual is a bad example because I have a Chalice on 1.
Yeah. Well, I would play out the Bayou. I don't think you need to play out the Mox. The Bayou at least gives you a land you can sack with Knight if you draw one.
Okay.
And it doesn't... Like, your colors are fine, and they don't have any way to interact with your lands.
Yeah, so, like, about the only thing I could do to start off, I guess, would be, like, land into Cabal Ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I have no qualms with just, like, end of turn, decay that LED.
Yeah.
Chalice
pretty
of the
good spot
Void,
here.
ladies and gentlemen. Great Magic card.
Yeah, so much fun. I love Chalice. I don't
Oh
care
man,
what
me
anybody
too.
says. It's like half the reason I play this deck, because I hate Brainstorm, just in general. I'm actually, just a little self-promotion here. I'm starting a podcast with some friends. It's going to be an anti-Brainstorm podcast. We're just going to talk about everything that isn't Brainstorm and Legacy, probably starting sometime next month, so look out for that. Going to have some bunch of various guests on that play non-Brainstorm decks, because I think there's a whole world out there that doesn't have to do with Brainstorm.
Yeah, I overwhelmingly play non-Brainstorm decks as well, so I'm
I
right
hate the
there with
card.
you.
I can't use it. I've tried playing Blue and Legacy. I don't think I've barely ever won a match. I just don't, doesn't work for me. I just want Loam. I'm always like, where's my life from the Loam? I don't need this Brainstorm card.
All right, I don't really need that, and I don't even
Put the
really
Mox
need that
back. You can
Mox.
fetch
I'd
for a
just
Dryad
rather play
Armor.
a land.
Yeah. I would play the Skoos here off of Bayou in a Wasteland.
Yep, and then just
And
hold
then
up infinite ooze activations.
you can hold up Trophy, Punishing Fire, Dryad Arbor. I mean, I don't see how they win. I guess there's a world where they might be able to, but it's pretty unlikely.
It's one of those weird, like, alternate timeline sorts of situations where they actually get through.
Yeah.
If my opponent does nothing, I think I just fetch Dryad Arbor and Punishing Fire their dome.
Yep. That's what I would do.
Making it look easy.
Chalice is so stupid. I think their whole hand is just 1-drops, which is hilarious. Oh, yeah. So now you play Chalice on 2, just for the rub-ins if you want, because they can't win.
Yeah. So I don't even think I take any more damage here on the off chance that
put
they
the
just,
land and
like,
the lily on the top.
cobbled something together. I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm anti-Brainstorm. Like, I'll play with Brainstorm, but most of the decks that I enjoy playing have some amount of prison elements or, like, non-traditional control elements. So that's just kind of what I'm about.
Right.
Like, I'm not so foolish to say, like, Brainstorm is a bad card. Like, it's obviously,
obviously
like,
an excellent card.
one of the best cards, if not the best card in the format. Just
I'm interested to see why they haven't conceded yet. Maybe they have some miraculous, I don't know, thing. I'm not sure what. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm assuming we're playing against, I guess, yeah, no, we're playing against Ant because we saw the Thoughtseizes. So
yeah. Their Moto results also very strongly indicate that they are Ant.
I would board in Thalia's Ley Lines, Tabernacle, and 2 Charms. And then I would board out Maze of It, Punishing Fire, Loams. And there's an argument as to whether or not you board out 2 Decay or 2 Trophy. Trophy, they only play like 2 basics most of the time, so that's why there's utility in Trophy. But then the drawback is, like, if you Trophy an LED, they can get a basic. So I probably would board out Trophy here.
Yeah, like, there's the world where they fetch both Island and Swamp, and, like, you get to Trophy a land, but I think those are the magical Christmas land scenarios where everything has gone right for you.
They're both pretty terrible, not gonna lie. But
right.
You have to keep one, so. Yeah, this is fine. And then you really want to mold to a hate piece. You can't really win. Storm is a very, like, 50-50, if not maybe like 55-45 in their favor. Because you have to find something to interact with them or you just die.
Well, is this okay? Is this what we want?
I think this is fine, yeah.
Note that if our opponent does duress us on turn 1, this hand gets much weaker, but it's still fine.
think you still keep that anyway. Like Duress or Thoughtseize, probably that's fine. But like you force them to have the discard spell, and you still have the leyline.
Yeah, and I have this wasteland for this Bayou too,
Yep.
and Goblin Insurance.
Yeah, I would waste the Bayou, play the Mox, or waste the Bayou, play the Mox, pitch Bayou, and then leave up Cycle.
Shoals, thank you very much for the bits. I'm really glad you're enjoying these guests. I'm looking to make this sort of thing a bit more regular, and I'm looking to kind of feature a lot of our like legacy deck specialists for people who are really invested in an archetype. When I did the first one with Nick Miller, it was wildly popular, and I got a lot of people saying like, "Hey, we'd love to see more of this."
Yeah, and it seems like I tuned in for a little bit of that Negator stream. That seemed like it went really well.
Yeah,
he's a great player. I remember I got really lucky and beat him once, but I think he's one of the better depth players around.
I think there's a very short list of depths players who are as dedicated to that deck as he is. Oh, this is awesome.
He's very good.
Neat.
There's no reason to not get a dual land here. I don't think they play any land interaction.
No.
So I would just fetch for like Bayou or Scrubland.
Yeah, do I have any? I guess I want Bayou in case I get Ooze, so I have more green.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a lot of people that are switching over to one Bayou, one Swamp, and I'm not a fan. I get that you want it versus back to basics and stuff, but like, man, when you play that first Bayou and they wasteland it, it feels so bad when you're just like, well, guess I can't have both green and black now.
So there were some interesting points brought up in chat. Number one, some of the Ant lists are playing 3 basics now, so Trophy is probably not getting that free land. Number 2, I guess I do need to consider that my opponent may have brought in Massacre against us. Opponent casting Dark Ritual.
Ooh, might be dead here.
If it's like, goblins, I'm not scared, but this is a lot of mana, so if our opponent has an Infernal Tutor, we're probably dead.
Yep. And like, this is a world where like Leyline just like isn't always great against Ant. Like, it's good against the Past in Flames line, but like if they just have it like this, it's pretty bad.
Oh, they didn't have a guaranteed, so they went with Ad Naus.
They're still probably winning this turn.
Oh, I agree.
Just like brick hard.
So there's no way to go Hellbent yet. No tutor yet. There's a tutor, but cannot go Hellbent.
Tutor and a pedal.
Dark Petition does it. So that's just Dark Writ, Dark Petition, Tendrils, and we're done.
Yep, we did. That's okay. That's the problem. Like, because they were able to take that Chalice, like, it's really hard to beat Storm on the draw, honestly.
Oh,
I think
100% agreed.
It's like 30-70 when you're on the draw, because they have that turn 1 discard for your hate piece. It just gets so much harder.
Oh, crap. They don't have Spell Mastery.
Oh,
I wonder if they realize that, because I didn't realize that. Does that matter?
I don't know.
No, it doesn't matter, right?
No, they still have.
So they still have exactly 4 black.
Yeah. Yep.
That was closer than I thought it was.
Yeah, they might have just not even thought about that and needed the pedal. Yeah, they almost never go for goblins. It's still right to bring in Tabernacle, but like it's a lot better against Tess.
Yeah, not making any changes here.
Nope. It is what it is. This matchup's very like hand dependent. I kind of hate playing against Ant because there's just not a lot of play to it. This is a mole.
Yeah, we don't do anything on turn 1 or turn 2. That's a hate piece, so this has to go back.
No, you lose with that hand.
This is great. It's a little awkward.
Yeah, you need that second source fatigue, but this is still a keep. They mold too. That's nice. That is a bottom.
That doesn't cast Teague.
No, doesn't let you cast anything extra out of your hand.
So I have Leyline of the Void as turn 1 disruption. And then I have a very good turn 2 play regardless of what my
There's
opponent does.
there's an argument to chalicing on 0 here, but like they'd have to just have the nuts and kill you turn 1, which is rare, especially off a mole. They might. I mean, it also playing chalice on 0 plays around this. So, but now they're forced to think about Teague or chalice.
Yeah, and like I'm still gonna get to wasteland them here or play Teague here, both of which are very,
Yeah.
very powerful plays. And like if I had played the chalice on 0, then like they take my Teague instead, which I think is probably going to be more impactful.
Yeah, and I usually see Storm players playing out their 0 drops on the first turn they can to play around a chalice on 0, so he may not have any in his hand, and since he didn't cast them.
Oh man, just getting another C, that's awesome for us.
Yeah.
Although
the
this
only
brainstorm
problem,
is
though,
scary.
is that you really need a land this turn, because if you waste them and then just don't draw lands, you're doing nothing.
All right.
Oh, there you go. So I would go ahead and...
So I don't have any red cards in the deck. So
Yeah,
I don't need to worry about that.
Bayou and play a Teague. Now this forces them to not only have the kill, but find an answer. So you probably buy yourself some time. They'll have like Chain of Vapor post board.
Yeah, I think we saw like an Echoing Truth last game in
Yeah, that too.
the flip. Oh, that's
boy.
disgusting.
All right,
So
I would waste the C, play Thalia, swing with Teague, and you're probably in a really good spot.
Oh man, and our opponent just has nothing here. That's great.
Yeah, this is absurd.
I don't think I need to play Thalia pre-combat for any reason.
No. So there are some people that are asking me, like, Teague is not very good. Why do you have him in the deck? And I'm like, this is why. I think Teague is just like crucial to have because you saw it win game 1 against Miracles by itself. You're seeing it now against Storm. It's just like so good in certain matchups.
Yes, Agate. Teague dies to Massacre because I have a Plains. You got it.
Yep. If he has Massacre, then whatever. Bad beats. I mean, also, let it be known he can't cast Massacre. It's 4 mana, so I would play the Bob.
Man, Teague, all-star, champion, really.
Yep. And they're probably dead unless they have. I mean, I don't know what they could have right now. I guess like.
I'd be real impressed.
Vapor. I don't know.
I'd be real impressed if they could do anything
They'd have
relevant.
to have the nut hand right here. Yep. Nice. That matchup is silly because there's just not a lot of play to it, and so it's so often like, did you draw the right cards, or did you find no hate pieces and die? Like that's kind of how it goes. That's the one disadvantage of this deck is if in a combo heavy meta, I just wouldn't play Loam. It's not good.
Yeah, luckily there's barely any combo around right now, and most of the combo that is around gets hit by Leyline or Chalice pretty hard.
Storm is pretty 50-50. I'm on like a 7-1 run against Reanimator. That matchup is pretty good for us. Sneak and Show is the only one that I worry about.
In the notes Connor sent me, he has it labeled as Sneak and Blow, if that gives you any idea of his feelings.
It's just such a miserable matchup. It's the least amount of fun I have playing Legacy. It's just like, oh, great. I can't do anything ever, no matter what I do. Half my cards in my deck are do-nothings. So good. I would keep this hand.
Yeah.
I think you have Wastelock. You have turn 1 Zenith for Arbor if you want it.
So my opponent's last Legacy finish was in 2016 with Ant, so I'm not gonna like give that any credence in like my mulligan decisions because that was so long ago.
Yeah.
But if they are Ant, this is a loose hand against them.
It's true.
So do I want to lead on Green Sun for Dryad Arbor here? Just like assuming blind. Is that the play that I want to make this turn?
Blind, I would make that play. If you're really like it's Ant, then I would save it. But blind, you play Dryad Arbor for. I mean, you could play Forest into Dryad Arbor because A, it gives them the impression that you're elves, and B, it sets you up for whatever play you want to make the following turn. I guess there's an argument to fetch.
What do you? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Finish saying what you're saying because that's where I was going.
Well, the problem with fetching is that you need the white source, which makes it awkward because you need to save that verdant for a scrubland, and that means you can't Dryad Arbor this turn. So really the only way you're going to get Dryad Arbor is Forest Arbor.
So what I was thinking is go...
You have Loam.
Yeah. What I was thinking was go Bayou, Zenith for Arbor, so that I can Bob and Wasteland next turn, and just assume that my life from the Loam will get me my white source at some point this game.
That's fair. Yeah, that's probably okay. And the Bayou still kind of masks his elves. For me, that doesn't work. Most people on Moto know that I play Loam. For you, like, you play a mismatch of every deck, so...
Yeah, the most common thing that I get at beginning of games is, that's not Death and Taxes.
Yeah.
When, like, someone looks at my results and just sees, like, 25 O's with D&T or something like that, and they just don't realize that, like, I'm a streamer and I play everything.
Yeah, I haven't even seen you play Death and Taxes on stream in a while. You just play everything now.
Yeah, so I'm actually playing it on Wednesday. Shameless plug moment, chat. On Wednesday, I'm doing a Halloween stream, and for the little treat portion of it, at the end of the stream, I'm going to give away one stream, so you will get a donation deck list of your choice for free. So if you have some brew you want to see Phil play, tune in on Wednesday for your chance to win a shot to get $12 worth of Phil credit.
The other thing this play does, if they want to remove the Arbor, then they're not using a removal spell on Bob. That's fine.
Yeah, this is great.
Now you just waste and loam it back.
Yep.
And they see that that's your play, and they're probably sad. Because if this is Shadow, you're way ahead.
Yeah, and if this is Ant that happens to be playing like an Inquisition, also great. If this is Grixis control and I have like Loam for Ghost Quarter and Wasteland, also great.
Yeah, man, if I'm the opponent, I consider conceding to hide information. Honestly, it's like having a lock this early is pretty hard to get out of. Maybe that's overzealous. I don't know.
Yeah, ooh, that's probably pretty good against whatever my opponent is doing as well.
I would still waste and loam this turn.
Oh, 100% agreed. That also just like dredges some stuff to be put into our graveyard.
Yeah.
To make the ooze bigger. Sometimes life just feels really good when you get these life from the Loam starts.
Yeah, there are certain hands with this deck that are just so unbeatable, and I love that about it. But there's also hands with this deck that are just horrendous, so kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, you mull a lot of awkward 7-card hands that are like one land and a mox, and it's like, well, those are both kind of mana sources, but...
I think the biggest challenge to this deck is learning mulligans, and the biggest mistake players make is keeping too many 7s. This deck mulligans very well, and a lot of your 6s and 5s are better than 7s that are bad or mediocre. So, like, aggressively mulliganing is often correct, and that's, like, one of the hardest things to understand when you pick the deck up.
Yeah, so one thing you have to consider with how aggressively you mulligan is, like, how good are your hands with some of your best cards? And with this deck, the hands that have, like, Chalice or Bob very early on in the game are just absurd.
Yep.
Dismember Dryad Arbor.
Oh, boy.
I
would... There's, like, a number of things you can do. There's an argument to just loaming because this is probably Death Shadow. There's also an argument to wasting their wasteland.
I kind of like wasting their wasteland and taking a
But then you
draw
don't-
to see if I can hit a Mox.
You don't get to do anything else
That's
this turn
true.
if you do that. So I don't know. I mean, there's an argument to loaming and then playing the waste and casting life from the loam, so you get the potential to double waste next turn.
Okay, I'm in for that.
Okay.
It's also just made better by the fact that I also have this Ghost Quarter.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty hard for them to come back from this. The only downside is if they start like casting an Angler or Shadow, we don't have any answers. But
yeah,
that's fine.
This is kind of their one-turn window where they really have a chance to do something that matters before I shred them to bits. Ooh,
okay, so this is
Volcanic Island.
Delver. Yep.
Okay. I think I like taking a draw step. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, the advantage is you can take them off both their lands right now, which makes Pyromancer pretty bad if they can't cast anything. But taking a draw is fine because you also want to find an answer for it. Which there's the answer.
Yep. So now I just Wasteland Volk.
Well, the issue now is if you play the maze out, they can waste it, but then you have a Loam to get it back.
Right. So this turn I can also just like Wasteland and Ghost Quarter.
Yep, that works.
And as long as they,
you could waste and quarter, or you could waste and play Scoos, or you can play Maze. A lot of options here. I mean, any of them are fine.
So like 100% with certainty that happens.
Yes.
And it makes sense to Ghost Quarter this Wasteland now where they can't trade it for another one of my lands and gain tempo in that way.
Yeah, the only risk to that is if they're running an island. That's pretty terrible. But most of the lists don't, to my knowledge.
I'm going to take 30 seconds and just kind of look at some recent lists. I don't think they're running the island, but I want to confirm. All right. So Grixis Delver. I'll throw this over here so you all can look at it, chat. Let's look at the first two lists. One island. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if I would take that line.
Yeah, I guess I can just play out the ooze.
Yeah, you could play out the ooze, which means they can't daze now, so that's not bad. And then you can start growing it, gaining life and stuff, or you could play the maze and see if they waste it.
I think I like just running the ooze out there.
Yeah,
it's vulnerable to Lightning Bolt, but it's going to be vulnerable to Lightning Bolt for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and now you've basically made it so that they're only ever going to have one land available because you can wasteland them every turn. The maze is a really good draw because it lets you have an answer to Angler, which is like one of their best cards against you. True Name, they're really far away from True Name, so that's good.
Ooh, and they're kind enough to get that land out there. So unless my opponent has another Dismember that they can find, this ooze makes it around the table.
Yeah, the only issue now is if you get back Loam, then you're getting yourself vulnerable to daze. So I'm not sure you want to do that, but you also want to take them off the land. So it's a weird position to be in. Yeah, they just wasted you too. How many creatures are in the yard right now total? Just the one knight?
My two.
Knight and Bob. I don't. I don't hate taking a draw this turn and playing out a fetch, so that you have double ooze activation. Because if they don't find an answer to ooze, it's just going to take over the game anyway, and that way you don't get dazed.
That's a decent draw. That means if I mill over a Punishing Fire,
Yeah,
it's just absolutely stellar.
I
think I'm supposed to fetch now.
Yeah, you want to play around Stifle.
And just like grow it to a 4/4 at this exact moment as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter too much what I get. I think I'm going to get a Bayou. Just.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. You've got all your colors available and Loam. And then next turn, you could start loaming to get
just more creatures in there.
Yeah, and start trying to get back lands. Maybe find Punishing Fire.
So if my opponent attacks with an elemental, I wouldn't block, right, to play around Lightning Bolt?
Yeah, you wouldn't block.
So
I almost like
I should just attack.
Yeah, you're at 20. You have life gain. They're at 14. They can't kill ooze this turn. Now you just kind of have to see what they have.
Yeah, again, really, like, Gurmag Angler would probably be their best draw.
But the fact that they wasted you already means your maze is free, and that's pretty big. Like, this is probably an Angler, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like, I'll dredge life from the Loam, probably put some creatures into the graveyard so that, like, ooze will outpace Angler, and then, like...
Well, they had the waste.
All right, that's slightly annoying.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm glad they used it now.
Yeah. The only card you care about right now is True Name. I think you can handle everything else. I would dredge Loam because I think you want to play the maze this turn anyway.
I agree. That put a knight into the graveyard, so I can grow that to 5/5 ooze.
Yep.
I suppose that also means that I can attack with the ooze. Well, no, I wouldn't want to trade it for Angler.
No, I would just play the maze. It's too bad you milled over a knight and a trophy, though. Those are good cards to have.
Yeah, Gurmag Angler is one of the other cards that, like, Trophy can hit that Abrupt Decay cannot.
Yeah.
There's also a very high chance that my opponent might Brainstorm lock themselves here. If I were to guess.
Nice. Yeah, it'd be nice. The one concern is if they find a removal spell for ooze, you're pretty far behind, but that's annoying. I don't think that they can outrace you with Pyro, but unless they find an answer for Scavenging Ooze first.
Yeah, I'd love to find, like, a Mox Diamond as my draw to just, like, push me a little bit further ahead on the mana front.
Mox would be good. Punishing Fire is good. They were able to, like, take the one turn to get ahead of the Wasteland lock, which is kind of annoying, but it's like they almost just, like, lost this game pretty early.
They also would have lost pretty hard if they didn't have the running Wastelands as well.
Yeah.
That was very fortunate.
Yeah. They don't really have any good attacks though.
No, they can push a couple of damage, but I'm still at 17. Like,
I just maze here.
yeah.
There's no reason to trade. Scooz is what's keeping you in this game.
The sort of ancillary benefit of like scavenging ooze gaining some. Oh man,
Well,
that's
pretty
disgusting.
good. Yeah, I would.
I think I just take this off the board.
I would do that. I would get like a scrub land.
Scrub.
And then decay the pyro. Man, my only concern now.
I know is if they go like land true name, it's super
then you're
bad.
probably just dead. True name is just so good. It's like second. I think the cards that beat Loam are like Omniscience at 1 and True Name at 2. True Name is such a house. It's so hard to deal with. We have like 5 answers total in the 75, and even then. Luckily, there's not a lot of true names floating around right now.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. That card's a little obnoxious.
It seems to be. That's weird. Okay, sure.
They just want a token.
It seems to be getting pushed out by miracles.
Agreed.
So.
I think Miracles is probably the best deck in Legacy right now.
I agree. However, I think it's very pilot dependent. I have like a 70% win rate against Miracles because most people on Moto don't know what they're doing. Then it's just like such a huge difference when I play against like
Anurag or Stephanogs or someone.
Yeah. If I play against those two guys, I usually lose. But everybody else, like, it's just such a hard deck to play correctly. Wish you had Golgari Charm main board one of those days where it's just like, man, it'd be nice.
Yeah. Do you think I forgot how my maze worked?
I have people on Moto do this all the time. It's pretty annoying. It's like, yes, I know what you're doing. Like once is fine. More than that, it's like, okay, just wasting time.
Oh, neat.
Well, they use their days. They could have a second days, but I kind of doubt it.
I think I just start choking them on mana. Like, if the Delver gets in a couple of hits, the Delver gets in a couple of hits. But
yeah, so the advantage of you want to land this Knight because you have Cabal Pit for Delver. If the Knight lands, then the game's over, probably. Unless they find a true name. So the question is, how much do you care about days? And how much do you want to play around that? If they have the Force Blue card, that's inevitable. Or, like, you can't do anything about that. If you do care about days, I would test the waters by trying to loam this turn. If you don't care about days, I would just slam the Knight and see what happens.
I think I have the time to play Loam this turn. Like, play Loam, Wasteland them. At the same time, like, my mana development matters a lot.
Yeah.
Like, the more the lands I get, the more stuff I can eat with Ooze. Like, one more Ooze activation means that I no longer care about
well, you have a Pyro in the yard, right?
You can eat so I can just eat now.
There's a world where maybe playing just playing out a land, so you can play around Days next turn and drop the Knight, and then eating Pyromancer with Scooz.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about like playing Verdant and then casting Loam? Just returning Wasteland? Or return like Wasteland and one fetch?
That's fine. However, the disadvantage of playing Verdant is you got to think about Stifle if they have it. So I would maybe play the Grove instead.
Sure. Okay.
So I would play Grove, Loam, and then eat Pyromancer. Yes, that gains them a life, but
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
All right, just return Wasteland, or
Yeah, I don't think you need the other lands. You have the fetch. Maybe like yeah, that's fine. I would just do that.
okay.
Yeah, and so then you get Loam in the yard. God, if he forces this, I'd be so happy. Please, please force this.
Okay.
I just pass now. So
Yep.
now you have the ability to play around days next turn. You have Maze still. You can eat the Pyro. The only card that beats you is True Name.
And this is like the last window to draw it, because then like I'll play. Yeah. All right.
That's pretty good.
Bolt's fine.
Yeah.
Because then like next turn I'll play out Wasteland, then jam Night with Days back up, and waste every turn for the rest of the game.
Yep. Oh, so okay. So he's swinging in with Angler. This is interesting. So you can grow the Skoos and block it, and then he's going to bolt the Skoos. That's still a 2-for-1, and you can Maze the Delver and take no damage.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that.
I like that play personally.
It's a little rough if my opponent has Force blue card as
yeah,
remaining
takes
2
the
cards.
Knight off the table. Sure. Yeah, I guess that's a consideration.
I think I just take 3.
Yeah, you could just spend a turn taking the 3 and see what happens when you try to land the Knight, and then go from there. So I would Maze the Angler. I think he's also trying to bait you. So
I agree.
Get rid of
like
the Skoos off the table.
It's just on board. Like the information is known to both of us, and I think the only way I lose this game is that if my opponent just kind of gets to go wide of me and beat through my creatures.
True Name. True Name still wins this game, I think.
Arkin, thank you very much for hosting. I hope your stream went well.
I don't even know how many True Names Grixis is playing main right now. 2, 1, 2.
I think it's just like 1.
Yeah. God, card's so annoying.
Yeah. So Zach, in chat says, I think you only lose this game if the tokens end up mattering, and right now the tokens don't matter.
Yep, that's true. And like I said, you have Cabal Pit for this Delver if the Knight resolves. So.
And
I think you dredge here because there's the plus side of finding a Punishing Fire.
Hey, speak of that, and it happens.
I still like
jamming Night, right?
Yep. Yeah, play Wasteland, jam Night off the other 3 lands. See what he's got.
So Lightning Bolt is 1 known card. Other 2 cards are unknown. They basically have to be Force blue card. If it's a Daze, I can just pay for it with Wasteland.
It's a Force blue card, which is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, that's whatever. Now you can at least eat the Knight next turn. I would waste the Valk. Force him to bolt you now, and then you can use Skoos to block Angler.
Yep. And then next turn, I just, can return Punishing Fire, destroy the Delver.
Yeah, you have the fetch for the red source.
Yeah. So everything's fine.
Yeah, you're pretty far ahead.
A fatal push off the top would be pretty devastating. Yeah, you can Inquisition my Loam, buddy.
To do nothing. Good Inquisition. Sweet.
So do I just keep loaming?
Yeah, I think so. Because you can get a Wasteland back to take him off the sea.
Yeah, so I just like...
It's just like no way he wins this game now. You're so far ahead.
Oh.
Okay, he's just gonna go for it now. Also, by loaming, you can potentially gain more life.
It's a weird attack.
Maze the Delver and block a token.
Yep. Okay, so if I want a Punishing Fire Delver this turn, that ties up 3 of my mana, so I actually can't both Loam and Punishing Fire.
That's a good point. I would use this turn to take a draw.
Nice.
Well, that's pretty good.
So now I can Mox Diamond, pitch Dryad Arbor.
I actually I like playing Mox, pitching Verdant, and playing out the Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, because that gives me my other red source that I need in order to Punishing Fire, which I didn't have previously.
And it gives you another blocker for the tokens or whatever.
Alright, so pitch Verdant, play Dryad Arbor.
I would just do it now.
Yeah.
There's no cards in hand. And this game's over. I don't see any way he wins.
Right.
Leave up the forest.
So that I can grow something else with Ooze.
Yep.
Am I the beatdown now? Do I attack with this Ooze?
You have the ability to grow it, so I would say yes. You should.
Yeah, so like if opponent attacks me with Gurmag, I maze that, and I can take up to 3 damage.
2.
Yeah, yep. And even if like my opponent rips Wasteland, if that's their draw, I can just chump block with Dryad Arbor and no big deal.
Yeah, there's so many people that have just been like, Skoos and Teague are bad, and as you've seen in our matches, they've been like the 2 best cards. So I don't know. I don't know what people think. People are like cutting Skoos for Tracker, and I'm like, okay. Doesn't make
I like
sense.
Tracker much more in Maverick.
Tracker's way better in Maverick, and it's way better in lands when you have Exploration.
Still remember how this card works, but thanks for playing.
God, Skoos is just so good against Delver if they don't have an answer. It's just takes the game over.
Now I can Loam.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do now. You could literally just like...
Yeah, I could flail around and cast my cards in random order, and it'd probably be fine.
Yeah.
So I won't have lethal this turn. I can return Punishing Fires.
I would just Loam, get back the waste, take him off his last land, and then leave up double eat stuff.
I guess I can get back another land too, but it's probably irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I would get it by
you. So just confirm there. Ooh, no, there aren't any other creatures in the graveyard, are
there? There's a knight in your yard.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so I can attack in with this as an 8/8, and that's fine.
Yep. And yeah, you can get back Punishing Fire at the end of the turn. All the things.
Okay.
Again, opponent thinks we don't know how to use maze.
So here's the cool thing. Yes, I want to pay red for that. And yes, I want to pay red for that.
They didn't even draw land, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
loam. Okay. Yeah.
So we just like
P5
force
the
the chump
token.
bot block on
Yep.
the angler here.
Yeah.
I guess they could technically take a hit, but it's rough. Yeah, so after no blocks, I will go ahead and eat my knight.
I would play the fetch land so that you can get a red if you want to use Punishing Fire. They just don't. They want to time you. That's your problem right now. Now you just untap and just go straight to combat and attack with both. All right.
Got him. That was a much longer game than what I expected.
Yeah. So on the draw against Delver, I would go board in Swords and Charm, Tabernacle, Last Hope, and a Johnny. And then I take out Library and Teague, and 2 Bob and 2 Chalice, and a Tranquil Thicket. And then on the play, I like the Thalias over the Green Suns, but on the draw, I like leaving in the Green Suns.
Okay, do you want to like explain like why we're splitting bobs and chalices?
Yeah, so I mean, there's some argument to boarding out all your chalices on the draw or all your bobs on the draw. I like having some of both. I think they're both worse. Particularly Chalice is worse on the draw against a deck that goes wide. In fact, I think there's some argument to boarding out all of your chalices and then leaving in like another Bob and maybe bringing in like Marchesa or like Vraska, because Chalice is pretty terrible against a deck that's playing like Pyromancer, Angler, and True Name. Like, yes, you get to take off their 1-drops and Delver, but like those aren't really the cards you're worried about in the first place. And usually your opponent's bringing in answers to them anyway. So I split them because I think they're both not great. But it's kind of up
But
to
all
you.
the options are kind of mediocre at that stage.
Yeah. So
and like Thalia on the draw is really loose.
Yeah, I like Thalia better on the play. And I think you don't want to play both Thalia and Green Sun because Thalia makes Green Sun worse. So it's usually one or the other.
All right. I like this.
Okay. I mean, there's an argument to like taking out another Chalice for a Braska or whatever, but you don't want to go too top heavy.
Yeah, like anytime you start going too heavy against Delver, like
yeah, and they
just
also
daze you and you die.
They keep in all their dazes on the play, so it makes your 4-drops worse. Like Chalice still has some utility. Like if you get a Mox Chalice draw on the draw, that's still like pretty good turn 1 play. But it's just you really care about like true names in this matchup and like answering a Pyro, and like Chalice doesn't do that.
Now we twiddle our thumbs for the last few seconds while opponent frantically tries to figure out how to sideboard against all the various things that we can be doing.
Yeah. Also, the other thing with Chalice is it's awkward with Swords to Plowshares. So
I too know that pain.
yeah.
This is an awkward one.
Yeah, it's a turn 2 knight, but I would. It has a wasteland. I would probably mull it though.
I think this one's very close, but I agree. This hand is worse.
Punished. Yeah.
Ship it again.
Mulligan. Yep. Keep that.
I think I need to bottom that. I think I need more mana.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least you have an answer to a turn 1 Delver, I guess. I don't know.
I do. But boy, it's awkward.
Yeah, if they go Inquisition, that's pretty terrible. Just like we drew it up.
Honestly, there's a world where they just take the Mox here. It like knocks us off of both black and white.
Sorry, need to turn on the light.
Do what you gotta do. Yeah.
Now we're like probably just dead. Well, we could draw like runner lands, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll just play the forest. Honestly, it's kind of weird because the odds of them having turn 1 IOK of all the turn 1 plays are not that high. I assume they're only playing like 2. So
if even.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's just like a one of interspersed with the Thoughtseizes. But it's okay, like the end result would have been the same if it was a Thoughtseize.
Yep. I don't know, it's tough. That 7 was maybe a keep because you had the Wasteland and the turn 2 Knight. But it's just awkward not being able to cast Lily or Punishing Fire.
Yeah, if I was only unable to cast like one card in that hand, like I'm 100% keeping it.
It was loose. I mean, you were on the draw, so there's that. You could have drawn into it like a black source, but I don't know. It's close. But then they IOK and probably take your green sun there.
And then I probably just flop around and die.
Yeah.
I mean, which is still probably what's happening, but...
Yep, most likely. They don't have a threat yet, so I guess that's good. If you draw a Wasteland here, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I would be happy for a Wasteland. I would be fine with a green sun for a Dryad Arbor.
Yeah.
I just mostly don't want to draw black cards.
Yeah, you don't want a Lily. Oh,
I'm fine with that. It's not great here, but...
It's feasibly okay later, maybe.
Yeah. And I think I can take feasibly okay later. I think I'm going to just turn off that upkeep stop for the moment.
Well, probably the worst thing that could have happened.
We're not anywhere near Lily mana.
No. That's a fetch.
So do I just want to play out that fetch for Lily reasons? Or do I...
The issue with playing the Tabernacle here is that makes you one turn farther away from casting a Johnny. And, like, taking them off 1 mana is, like, does you no good right now. So you just want to play the fetch and hope to, like, I don't know, not have a Johnny countered next turn. I'm not sure how to get out of this. Draw a Lily in 2 turns. Golgari Charm would be a sick draw. That's probably your best out right now.
I'd also love to see my opponent just, like, slam a young Pyromancer onto the board, make a bunch of tokens.
Well, that's actually a card you don't care about.
Actually, I can just Punishing Fire that.
Yeah, and you have a Grove.
I can
so
fetch...
I would fetch for... Well, this makes it awkward.
Can't fetch Badlands!
Yeah, you also have to think about Surgical.
All right, I'm gonna fetch a black source.
Yeah, fetch a Scrubland.
I can't buy it back this turn, so I lose a little bit of mana efficiency.
Yeah, you're also opening yourself up to Surgical, but like you're already behind.
Yeah, if they want to Surgical me, so be it.
Okay, so I don't like playing a Johnny this turn. I think you want to wait. I think you just Punishing Fire, try to get it back and Punishing Fire the Lily right now, because this way, if you wait a turn, you can play around Daze, and it lets you just like not have a Johnny automatically die to True Name. they're gonna force this? Wow. Okay.
All right.
Sure. Can't believe you're actually still in this game. That's a pretty good
me
draw.
either.
I would play the fetch and play.
I can Ajani minus kill their Lily.
You can do that. The Lily is not really a concern, that much of a concern right now. I kind of like playing the Knight and then just getting back Punishing Fire and with a Grove up to play around Surgical, maybe. Although I think you want keep the fetch because you want to play around an Edict. So
Okay.
play the Knight like that. Yeah. See what they do. This at least lets you sort of race a true name. You have Dryad Arbor to play around Edict. You can try to get back Punishing Fire. That's annoying.
Yeah, I can't grow it out of that.
Can't play around everything. Yeah, I guess that happens.
Opponent getting back their Gurmag Angler off of Lily.
Yeah,
Strong.
that makes sense. Yeah, the Knight would have been nice because you could have started like getting them off mana and playing Tabernacle, but
I think this is the point where I'm dead.
probably.
But I don't know that I want to concede because clock on their end, like I'm catching up.
Yeah,
It's awkward.
I think I try to get back Grove here. If they have Surgical, you're probably dead anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Wow. Well, that's a draw. So
I can Golgari Charm this, let the Angler whack me for 5, and then keep it tapped down with Ajani if I don't play Ajani this turn.
yeah, you also have an Arbor to block. So I'd go Golgari Charm here first. Just do it now. See what they have. Spell Pierce, Brainstorm. Okay. You're actually still in this if they don't find a counter.
Yeah, I can Punishing Fire Lily.
Yep.
Kill that.
Dryad Arbor, block, tap it down with a Johnny.
Play Tabernacle as well so that they have to pay for their stuff.
I would play the tab out this turn, so they have to waste some mana. Punishing Fire using the Groves. Again, I don't.
Both Groves? Oh, yeah. It has to be both Groves.
I don't care about Surgical. You just can't play around it right now. It's sad, but that's how it is. Yep. That's fine. It's like normally I would obviously say like you don't want to tap your Groves that way, but you're in the position where you really don't want to take 5 from this Angler and you want to try and chump block it. And I just like you're just not in a position to play around it. Like I kind of figured they would get it eventually, but
unfortunately, like because I'm chump blocking with the Dryad Arbor here, I'm not going to be able to play around Days with this Ajani.
Yeah, that's true.
Brutal.
Super brutal. I think you're priced into hoping they don't have Days here.
Yep.
Now it's probably the worst draw in your deck. Oh.
This buys a turn.
Yep. Now you need, I don't even know.
And like a Golgari Charm is fine.
Yeah.
Lily Last Hope is, or Lily of the Veil is not fine. Oh, opponent just went at my face.
That's fine. Oh God. Okay. Well, you're just dead now. Yeah, I think you're dead.
I agree. Note Tabernacle is like the most annoying card to click through on Magic Online out of all of the cards that are possibly there.
Yeah, they're behind on time now too, so keep that advantage if you can. Yeah, okay. So on the play now, I take out the Green Suns for the Thalias. And I actually think there's an argument to boarding in your other Bobs over the 2 Chalices.
Okay.
Because, like, they're just killing you with Anglers and True Names, and Chalice just does nothing. And since you're on the play, like, the card advantage is good. But that's me.
Okay. No, I can see it. Just like the make them have it sort of situation.
Yeah, I just don't think Chalice is great post-board against Grixis Delver in particular, because they have so many cards that it does nothing against, and they also board in answers for it. And you really don't want to be time-walking yourself against them.
So, Chad, I know you're chatting about Vintage. I'm kind of ignoring you right now because we're low on clock. But everything I have seen on Twitter has suggested that Paradoxical Outcome is just the best thing you can be doing in Vintage.
Yeah, that format seems pretty broken right now. I am assuming a restriction on outcome is soon to come.
Every time I watch that deck do its thing when it's going off, it's really neat to watch once or twice. But I can't like imagine like going to play, a 7 or 8 round Vintage event and having to deal with that all day.
Yeah.
Mulligan.
Mole. Yep.
Awkward keep.
Yeah. Super awkward keep.
That'll go to the top.
Top. Yep. I would play. I play the Grove because you can bait the Wasteland. Okay, it's fine.
I think I just want to Swords that immediately rather than like play to correct tempo.
Yeah, I agree. I would fetch for Scrubland. Kind of sucks you have to use the Swords on a Delver, but that's fine. You have the Liliana too. And they often board out Dazes on the draw, so at least they should.
Lily?
Yep. I would play Bob.
Okay.
Because you still have the opportunity to play around a Daze.
I probably should have played Dryad Arbor that turn.
It's fine. You have the Caracas. Yep.
Oh, Bob.
Ooh,
oh, baby. Bob.
I would just decay the Delver.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to do the uncounterable thing here.
You want all the possible answers for True Name in the world, so keep them for that.
Of note, opponent does not have red mana yet and has not had the opportunity to get it yet, so something like Young Pyromancer very easily could be stranded in their hand.
Glad they wastelanded the Grove there. Yeah, save the trophy. Taking them off the sea doesn't do anything. Play the Arbor. Play the Badlands and the Lily, I think.
Yeah.
And then pitch the Arbor.
Everything kind of going our way here.
Yep. It's usually pretty dice roll dependent.
Yeah, it's amazing how many matchups can swing by a die roll when you play a deck like this that really gets to leverage its turn 1 via Mox Diamond so much harder than most of the rest of the format.
Yeah, and you see that Abrade that they brought in for Chalice that's just a do-nothing. I mean, yes, it could have killed Bob. They never found a red source, but, like, you're making their cards worse when you board out Chalice.
All right, I think I'm going to take a minute to get up, stretch, refresh my water, and use the restroom, and then we'll go into the final round.
Yeah,
So
that's fine with
Connor,
me.
your audio will still be live for a minute. I'll let you know when I'm back. Chat, we'll
Okay.
be right back.
All right.
All right, Connor, are you back and good to go?
Yep, I'm here.
All right.
Let's go for the. I'm gonna call it a 5-0 because I think if we kept that Marchesa, we win that match. I think.
All right, that's fair. They should have been a 5-0, but
Yeah.
Phil got greedy. Maybe, I don't know. It's so for anyone who wasn't here earlier, just to like talk about the spot that we're talking about, I screenshotted it. So we're playing against Miracles, and we resolved this very early Lily. And the question was like, do I continue to tick up and put Lily to 5, but discard this amazing card for the matchup, or do I just pass the turn? And it's a really interesting and difficult spot. All
yeah,
right.
it is one I have to ponder for a while because I don't know what was right. There's arguments on both sides. I think if I had to do it again, I think I keep the Marchesa because it's just like I think if you land it and they don't have an answer, you win the game.
Yeah, I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while. But anyway, moving on. Hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU, a site dedicated to legacy, death, and taxes. Tonight I'm here with Connor, aka Loamerboy, and we're playing some 4-color Loam. The next stream that I will be doing will be on Wednesday. It'll be a spooky Halloween themed stream. I may or may not be dressing up in a costume for you all. We'll see. And I will be doing a giveaway at the end of the night where I will be giving someone one deck of their choice that they can have me play on stream. So it's like a donation deck list minus the donation part. So by the way, Connor, if people are enjoying your content and like they have some questions about 4-color Loam, where should they direct those to? Where's a good place to talk about Loam?
Well, we have the Discord channel, which has a lot of discussion on it. There's also the Facebook group, it's just 4-color Loam on Facebook. You can also feel free to message me on Facebook. I'm on there, and I'll get your messages. And I can answer any questions people have. I've been playing the deck for almost 3 years. But I would say like the Facebook group and the Discord are probably the two best. There's sideboard guides and stuff on both, and other primers and things. There's really the message boards don't have a lot of content anymore, so it's probably those two places.
Yeah, a lot of the discussion that used to take place on the source is now taking place in Discords.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, this is
a hand. It has magic cards.
Yeah. I'm inclined to keep because you're on the draw.
I'm also inclined to keep because I'm on the draw. I have 2 sweet card advantage spells.
This this is miracles.
And if this is miracles, then these are both insanely powerful cards against that deck.
Is sneak and show, then I hate everything. But
well, right, yeah.
What can you do?
So a couple questions for you in chat. Connor, did you play in Austin?
I did, yeah. I lived there for 3 years. I went to UT Law. And I was playing there for a while.
Okay. And second question, how do you feel about the D&T matchup?
I think it's 65-35 in Loam's favor, but you might disagree with me. I think it's also very pilot dependent. Yeah, it's miracles. That's really annoying. So I
think I want to fetch my basic forest and jam the Sylvan library.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, it's pretty pilot skill dependent. I think the thing with this deck against D&T, I find the matchups where they don't have Vial to be like kind of a joke.
Do I want to play Cabal Pit here or like use my other fetch? I kind of want to have the flexibility.
I would just play the Pit. The damage doesn't matter that much.
Or no, not Loam. This green spell.
Yes. I mean, Phil, you might disagree with me, but I think D&T is pretty easy most of the time, unless they have the Vial. Well, they used a force, so
yeah, that's fine. That's way better than like a blind counterbalance hit. I'm of the opinion that player skill matters pretty much more than anything else in that matchup, because the matchup goes super long, and your decisions matter a lot. So I find that I personally am coming out ahead against most Loam pilots. However, then I play against some of the regular Loam players whose names I recognize, and those matchups are hard.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a very skill-dependent matchup. This is kind of unfortunate. This is just like, it's weird because like lately I've been crushing miracles, so like we're having a bit of an issue against it today. But I think it's just like good draws from them.
Yeah, like we had a very ideal start versus miracles with like 2 incredibly powerful cards, but our opponent was able to answer both pretty easily.
Well, that's a good draw.
Yeah, it lets us turn our maze into something live.
I would play the Mox, pitch the maze. And then fetch, maybe?
Yeah, let's get something out of it. I guess Taiga.
Yeah. Either that. Yeah, Taiga's fine. And then Loam. See what they have off the balance.
I assume there's a 2 on top if they have the option to put a 2 on top.
Probably. Usually.
Oh, nope.
Huh. Okay. Then I would play out either the Arbor or fetch.
I guess we're probably doing this one the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, if you're playing Miracles, by the way, and you want some advice against Loam, always leave a 2 on top. Majority of our deck is 2.
Always.
People like, don't know that, really.
P-Fire, Loam. Oh, I didn't know Accumulated Knowledge had alternate art.
Yeah, that's sweet. So this is weird, because normally I would say, like, you just want to be Loaming to find a Grove, but they have Counterbalance, and that makes things awkward.
Yeah.
So I think there's also an argument to taking draws to find a Decay.
And I don't think I'm just going to, like, Punishing Fire their face here. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do so before I have the Grove.
I would draw, sadly.
Terminus. That's fine. I'll get it back.
Yeah. Gee, what a play by our opponent there.
Good job, buddy.
I hate Terminus so much. It's stupid. Oh, 1 mana instant wrath seems fair.
I was of the opinion that is the card that should have gone from Miracles, not top.
I agree. Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
I think top is actually fine.
Because
We'd actually be in a really good spot if they didn't have this counterbalance, because then you would just be like loaming every turn to find a grove, and then you'd probably win. But this balance is making it really awkward to do that, so. So I guess they haven't found like a Jace.
it's fine. The cavalry is here.
Yeah.
One tree friend.
Oh, look, it's back.
I'm still taking draw steps here. That's great.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I would play the Wasteland to get up their bulk, and then Chalice for 1.
Oh man, it was super important for me to do that pre-combat.
Yeah, it's okay though.
So if they float a mana, I might just pass the turn. Oh, thank God.
No punishment.
So, what do I want to cast this Chalice on?
1. Always 1 against miracles. I mean, it doesn't do much else.
The awkward thing about that is, okay, so I'm actually going to lead on Life from the Loam first as the bait spell to see if I can resolve the Chalice.
Yeah, it is 2 CMC, so that makes sense. The only issue is, like, you don't really want to play Chalice for anything else, so.
All right, Arid Mesa. So they don't just have it.
Yeah.
So here we go.
The only bad part about this is that you open yourself up to a Spell Pierce, but.
I would accept getting Spell Pierced.
Yeah, that's probably fine. If they have it, they have it. Let's brainstorm into whatever, probably.
Brainstorm, put back AK. Make me sad.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, nope. Blind flip.
Blind
No
flip.
counterspell. No
Didn't work.
counterspell.
What is that?
Swords to Plowshares Dryad Arbor.
Okay.
All right, they got it.
That's bad.
Is it?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I'm not actually sure it's bad.
I guess you have a Maze of Ith and a Cabal Pit. So actually, yeah, you do have a Cabal Pit, but they have a spell. They have a Brainstorm, which is bad.
Okay, no, it's fine. So I Cabal Pit. If they Brainstorm, I Punishing Fire in response.
Right. Yeah, that could work. Just hope they don't have a 2 on top now.
Yep. Here we go. Nope.
You can't Cabal Pit yet because you don't have Threshold. I was going to mention you had to Dredge Loam.
That still wouldn't get me there, though, this turn.
Well, you can. So actually, you can cycle Thicket and Dredge Loam off the cycle, and that gets you 6 cards in the yard, and then you can fetch. Or, yeah, so it should be 7.
So actually, it was like super great to draw this Thicket.
Yeah, that saved us from the punishment of not dredging.
All right, so that's 7 cards. So.
Oh, that trophy, man.
Unfortunate.
So yeah, you can.
Yeah, I'll play a fetch out. I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I guess fetch is better because it'll give me more of my colors in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, you have to play the land to be able to P-Fire. So now he's going to, like, do whatever. Yep. Now in response, you have to P-Fire and hope that he doesn't blind flip you. This is huge.
This is the game right here.
Yeah. If he blind flips, you probably don't have a shot. Woo! Got there.
What did my opponent reveal? Opponent revealed Ponder. And my opponent just conceded to that?
What? What? I don't understand.
You see, I felt like we were on the ropes there, Connor.
We were so behind. Regardless of that play, we were still so far behind. I'm just, okay.
Deal.
Awesome.
Deal.
Take it all day.
Okay.
Very
So
aggressive concession.
same
Thanks,
thing as
opponent.
before. We want the Walker's
And this is
Knight,
the AK version, so I would leave Thalia out for the
Golgari
Skoos,
Charm.
the Green Sun. Yep.
So what was that? Knight out, 2 Green Sun out, 1 Maze out. Or no, I cut 1 Wasteland before.
Yeah, you leave the Green Sun in, one of. And then you take out Maze, Wasteland, 1 Green Sun, 4 Knight.
Okay.
Yep, that's right.
Did we come to the conclusion before that we wanted to cut this other Green Sun because like the targets were kind of weak?
Yeah, I think we did. You're right. So I would just
So I
bring
think
in
I want
Thalia.
that.
Yeah. It's also possible there, because he's playing red. I didn't actually think about this. Did we submit yet?
No.
Okay. It's possible you might want to leave in the 4th Wasteland.
Just because he has the
Thalia.
red.
Yeah, I think usually red splashes play more duels, so there's more opportunities to Wasteland, but I'm not sure it matters a lot.
So if I was going to play the Wasteland, I'd be playing it over Thalia.
Yes.
What do you think?
We're on the play, so maybe for being on the play, I like leaving in the Thalia.
We're on the draw, right? Like our opponent
we're
conceded.
on the draw. Sorry. Yep, you're right. Then in that case, I think just go with the Thalia. It's fine. Doesn't really matter. Like, even if they're playing Volcanics, they're still only going to have like 3 total duels to waste anyway, and you still have 3 Wastelands plus Loam. So I think trimming a land is still fine. This is Mulligan. Mulligan.
Is it?
It's a super greedy keep. We don't have any white mana. You have a tap land. You get just hosed by back to basics.
So how good is being on the draw?
Well, if you want to Russian roulette for that Mox Diamond, go for it. But I would probably mulligan.
So I think this is closer than it looks. I'm going to talk about this for a minute because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, Chalice of the Void is extremely powerful in this matchup. And with basically any colored land, I will get to cast either Thalia and Knight of Autumn or Liliana of the Veil because I'll play Baron more tapped on 1. So this has potential upside.
It does. It also has.
I just don't know that upside is high enough versus just like a reasonable 6-card hand.
Hey, we could keep for science.
I don't really mind keeping for science.
All right, that's fine.
So, like, what's the 6-card hand gonna have that would make this better? Like a Mox Diamond starting into like Bob Library Teague.
Yeah,
would
there's
be
actually
stronger.
quite a lot of hands that are better, but I could see keeping this. If especially like this is a straight mole on the play, but on the draw, like it's fine. A little risky, but
let's keep this one for science.
I've watched Matt Zolea play this deck a hell of a lot, and he's probably one that would keep this hand.
Never punished.
Rewarded. I still think you play Baron more tapped.
I agree. And it's even like the best possible white source too.
Yeah.
Because it protects Thalia.
So good.
Ooh.
Jeez. Still need that red source, but that's pretty good. So, man, I'm so scared of back to basics, though.
Yep.
You have that Knight of Autumn, but it's still like so bad, so bad. Okay, I would either go Wasteland, play the Chalice, or I would just cast the Thalia now. It's one of those two.
I think I like Wasteland and cast the Chalice. If my opponent has Counterspell, like, so be it. If they don't, the upside is absolutely massive. Whereas with the Thalia, if I wait a little while and I get the opportunity to protect this with Caracas, it's super obnoxious.
Yeah, it's just the back to basics that I'm worried about.
Oh, yeah.
As always.
I'm not. Ooh.
Oh,
Well, that answers either one.
Oh, the spice. I like a spell snare of miracles actually.
Oh, thank God they don't have back to basics.
Yeah, sometimes when they don't have it, you're just like, oh, sigh of relief.
Great. Great.
Wow. The options are real.
So, I kind of like Lily here.
Yeah, there's an argument for just casting Thalia and leaving up Wasteland. But Lily's all. I think Lily's fine.
I just don't want to walk into Snapcaster Spell Snare.
Yeah, that's fair. The issue is that I don't know what you discard to Lily. Discarding Punishing Fire is asking to get Surgical, and you really want to play around that in this matchup. So you need the mana. You need the Knight of Autumn. I mean, you're almost priced into discarding Thalia. As weird as that sounds.
It's irrelevant if this doesn't resolve.
Sure.
Which I do not expect it to if my opponent has any counter magic whatsoever.
Yeah, they're definitely going to do whatever they can to counter this.
What's the third mana for Click?
Probably just
marginal thinning.
Double fetched, but yeah.
I guess the double fetch can matter for like Terminus 2-down reasons.
Opponent is making interesting choices this match. Conceding to us when they're ahead, stuff like that.
Well, I guess it's like arguably ahead. Like their counterbalance, I think, is better than our Chalice, but they disagreed.
Yeah, I mean they had counterbalance and we had 2 drops in lands, but whatever.
All right.
They're really searching, so that's good news.
So they predict, target themselves.
Draw 2 cards, probably. Yeah, with an AK. Oh, the value. Force blue card? Yep.
Okay. Again, I don't really mind this exchange.
No, now you only care about back to basics. If they untap back to basics that's really bad.
Still don't have back to basics.
Sweet. All right. I would play the.
Mana's all sorts of interesting this game.
Yeah. There's an argument to casting Thalia. There's an argument to doing nothing and playing the Grove. Because you get less hosed if they land back to basics next turn.
So I really would like to play out a white source so that I can play Thalia with protection next turn.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, they're not doing anything either, so you could just play the Savannah and pass.
Super punish if opponent just sticks Jace, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, you have Punishing Fire Grove.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't know if our opponent will have the foresight to just immediately plus Jace.
They'd have to have Jace and Surgical and Force. I don't know. Sometimes your Miracles opponents do have it all though. It's because they play 20 cantrips.
Yeah, it's absurd the number of cards that say draw a card in that deck currently.
Yeah.
Especially
I think Analog's version, if you've watched his stream,
he has
literally 20 cantrips. I have a lot of fun watching him. He's just so good with the deck.
That was the second main phase Ponder. For some apparent value.
Yeah. Well, maybe they forgot to cast it.
There's definitely been more than one moment where I've been like, shit, don't F6, don't F6.
Yeah. Back to basics is not that bad now because you have Knight of Autumn if they don't have a counterspell backup.
Yeah, and on my next turn, I can play Thalia with 3 lands up, one of which is Caracas.
See, here's the thing. I want to there's so many Loam players right now that are wanting to play Swamp Main, and I just want to argue with all of them. So many arguments for that.
Yeah, all right.
But anyway, discussion for another time.
Please don't plus. Yeah!
I would
I think I'd
punishing fire.
fire off the first punishing fire at it right here.
Yes, in response. So the only scary thing
Is if
obviously
they
you wanna
surgical.
try and- yeah, you want to try if they. So they should surgical now if they have it. Okay, so I think you're in the clear. So I would literally just kill Jace.
Come on.
Oh my god. Well, they're gonna look for a surgical now. I think you have to play Thalia. You've already played a land. I don't think you can afford yourself that anymore.
I agree.
Although I guess now you're dead to back to basics, so that might have been a mistake.
Well, I think if opponent had back to basics, they.
Yeah, well now they can look for it. I don't know. It's tough there because like back to basics and surgical are both great cards for them to find, but Thalia is pretty good.
This has been an interesting game.
Yeah, there's a hard line playing against Miracles to be like, okay, do you want to land your stuff and make them have it, or do you want to play around all the things? And sometimes it's hard to know. Oh, that's fucking great for us. Did I swear? I'm not supposed to swear on your stream, am I?
We try to avoid it.
Yeah.
But
okay,
like,
so
I'm equally guilty.
I would try to punishing fire their Jace again.
With this one.
Yeah, I guess. You don't have that second red source, which is like kind of awkward. But yeah, I do it that one so you can leave up Grove.
Okay. All right, so.
And the Wasteland. Well, I'd use the Barrymore.
It's so brutal.
It's fine.
So I guess I go ahead and return one of these now.
Well, the issue with doing that is
it doesn't actually play around surgical.
No. I would. I mean, there's an argument to playing out Knight of Autumn as a 4/3 here, but I think you want to keep it, so I would just waste them and then play a land and pass.
All right, so I'm convinced they don't have back to basics right now, right?
Yeah.
So do I need a second card to pressure this Jace other than punishing fire?
I don't think so. They've used a force and a counterspell, so it's likely dead the next turn unless they find the surgical here.
So if they plus with Jace, it goes up to 3.
Yeah.
And then I can't actually kill it next turn.
That's true.
So I almost just want to 4/3 and wasteland them.
Yeah, you could go for it and hope they don't find a back to basics or a surgical, but I think at this point, like, just have to play the Knight of Autumn out and see what happens. Because, like, the Jace is going to take over the game regardless of what else they find if you don't deal with it. This leaves you very open to back to basics, but, like, you know, what can you do?
Yeah, and so I'm going to nug this to take them off of an immediate entreat.
Yeah.
Which is one of the quickest ways that this game could just slip away.
Oh, please no back to basics. Plussing is fine. No, don't find it. Don't find it.
Please don't find Terminus.
Or surgical. There's so many good cards for them right now.
They might have to go through all of the cards that say draw a card on them first, though.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if we win this game.
Yeah,
Because like there's so many, I have so many outs. Like even Swords to Plowshares is good.
Yeah, so Swords to Plowshares and Terminus are fine. Snapcaster Mage is pretty obnoxious.
Wow. Lucky. So
Okay.
So lucky. All right, I would start by attacking Jace.
Yeah, I don't expect it to work.
No.
I don't know how it goes wrong, but I don't expect it to work. I think I'm going to play out this land.
Sure.
There's some consideration to keep it in hand for, like, Mox Diamond reasons.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I think you. So you can't kill Jace right now,
Right.
no matter what you do. I think that you try to get back both Punishing Fires and hope that last card in their hand isn't a Surgical.
I'm in agreement.
And you can leave up Golgari Charm, which is great. Now you see what they do.
Note that if opponent just continues to plus with Jace, our Punishing Fires will whittle that down eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the plus game is not really great for them. If I were them, I'd be brainstorming.
So luckily, like, Counterbalance is something that could lock us out currently, but Golgari Charm would answer that as well.
Yeah, okay, so they're going to plus, which I don't get, but it's fine. Good for us, I guess. They've also been stuck on 5 mana forever, which is good. That's not the greatest of draws. It's fine.
So I think I'm just double Punishing Firing Jace in this turn cycle.
Yeah, I would.
I guess I also have mana to Loam.
I wouldn't do that because you want to leave up Charm.
Sure.
So double Punishing Fire is fine. There's also a world where maybe you want to Loam to try and find a second Grove, but.
And I'm not gonna do it until I like see what they're doing with their Jace or see what else they're doing with their mana. Like there's some potential. Well.
Okay.
Now I probably double shoot off at the Jace right here.
Yeah, and you can still leave up Charm. The issue is if they find a 2 on top, that's really bad. Which they probably are going to do.
But it's going to be hard to leave their 2 on top for, like, every single moment.
Sure. I just mean, like, you really want this Charm to resolve.
Yeah. What am I thinking about? You have, like, a Brainstorm?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't kill their Jace. Okay.
So if opponent Jace Brainstorms, I probably Golgari Charm this immediately in response.
Yeah, you do it as soon as they do anything.
Yeah.
Yep. And then hopefully it doesn't get countered. The only downside to this line is now they could find a back to basics and super punish you, but.
Yep.
I mean.
It is what it is.
Yeah. They're just going to counter this anyway.
Fucking Spell Snare! Ugh!
What a beating. That card is so good against us. I don't see that many lists playing it, but I feel like it should be played.
So the good news is that I'm probably getting this Jace.
What? Wait, what? I don't...
Hold on.
Sure. Is they want a 2 on top? I don't know.
All right,
Okay.
accumulator knowledge.
Sure.
I really hope they had that already. Otherwise, that was just like the riskiest thing ever.
Yeah. A ballsy line they were taking there. So now they're probably going to be able to leave a 2 on top, which means that you want to wait until they draw a
their
card.
draw step to Punishing Fire
Yeah.
the Jace again.
Yeah.
It's super daggers if they have double 2-drop.
Yeah, which they might.
They only have
But
3
at this
cards.
point, yeah. That's pretty good.
So I guess I have to return. I should probably return my Punishing Fires now. One of them.
Yeah.
And then do it in their draw step.
Yeah, I could see playing the Scoos, although it probably just gets countered, so I wouldn't play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I would just return a P-Fire and then sit there. Also, be mindful of the clock, too.
Ugh.
Well, it was inevitable at some point. The only issue is, like, we could have just sat there to find second Grove, but, like, they have the board already, so it's hard to be able to do that when you're behind. Like, the counterbalance really takes that line away.
So now, I'm not even sure if...
Now you're just probably dead, and I would consider conceding to save time. I guess there's a world where you, like, draw into lots of things, but pretty far behind.
Okay.
I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Sure. So for those of you that are in chat, while Connor's running the restroom, I'm just going to kind of let the 3 minutes of sideboarding go by here. So if you have any questions for me in the chat, this is a great time to do so. Also, I should probably take a moment to thank my sponsors, Card Hoarder, for letting me borrow this sweet deck, and Cardboard Live, my awesome extension on screen. You can click the cards on the left-hand side to expand it. They're going through a lot of growth and making changes right now that I'm super excited about. I have access to a little more information than you all do, but they're making it way easier to go and like upload like deck lists and such, and they're getting to the point where you can just plug Magic Online deck list files right into it, which is exciting. I've really been liking Loam. The deck's quite objectively powerful, and it has a lot of wiggle room for play. So there's a lot of room to improve as a player and a lot of cool talking points. So I think those are all huge things for in its favor as far as like content for this stream goes.
I have returned. I think like also that game is just super unfortunate because they had like 2 counters twice when we tried to kill their Jays.
Yeah, that was also the keep for science hand,
right?
Where it was a little bit questionable.
Okay. All right, well let's run it back and we're on the play, so that's good. Hopefully we can get a match versus Miracles this stream.
Yeah, Negator. Mox Diamond has been a hell of a drug recently.
I've been on like a tear against Miracles. I keep this, I think.
It's turn 2, Lily.
Yeah. You also have a Charm. You have lands. You have a Forest and a Mox.
Am I playing this Mox on 1?
No, there's nothing they can land that you want to charm, so there's no reason to. I would play the Heath and pass.
Queen Marchesa is quite powerful. I don't know if you've ever had that card in play before, but it's very much like Palace Jailer in that once it hits the field, the game is about it now.
Okay.
I still like playing this because my opponent showed those spell snares.
Yeah.
Mox Diamond discarding Wasteland.
Yep.
And
fetch Forest.
Yep.
So this is good. You have insurance because you have a Forest, a Mox, and a Back to Basics answer. so you're pretty safe.
And then I think I want to play my... No, I probably want to play the... No, I
No, well,
need to
do you
play
want to
this.
cast Lily? If
Yeah.
you want to cast Lily this turn, you need to play the Bayou.
I was sitting there like thinking about like my Golgari Charm mana, but that's somewhat irrelevant at the moment.
So there's a world where you get Spell Pierced here, but whatever. Yeah.
Ugh.
That's fine. You can at least try to resolve Bob next turn now, and if they Spell Snare your Bob, they're not using it on Charm.
Yeah, back to basics. Actually not overly threatening on this board, since I do have both Forest and Mox Diamond.
Yeah, that's why you kept the hand, I think. Ugh. Okay, so here...
I think Bob is the bait spell.
Yeah.
And then Golgari Charm is the one I actually want to resolve.
Yeah, it sucks to have to use Bob as a bait spell, but I guess you don't have a choice. Yeah, so I would play the Bob off the Mox and doesn't matter really.
Yeah.
You're gonna tap all your mana anyway.
All right, come on, Bob. Please resolve. Force of Will.
Sweet.
All right.
So now you... So wait, I think there's a world where... So yeah, you want to get rid of the counterbalance, but they just showed you Force of Will off the top, and they have no 2-drop, and they didn't counter Bob. So this is a chance to resolve Library. Because as soon as they draw a card, they have the counter spell for it.
The same is true of the Golgari Charm, though.
That's true. That's true. It sucks. I wish we could just have all the things. I guess you want to get rid of this counterbalance.
I think this counterbalance being on the board is more important than me resolving the Sylvan Library in terms of my win percentage for this game.
As good as Library is in this matchup.
Like, if this Bob lives because my opponent doesn't have Swords to Plowshares, then it will be doing the same sort of work that Library did.
Yeah. And back to basics here is whatever, honestly. Like, yeah, it's fine, but they've also got a duel, so... Okay. So attack with Bob. They have the Force of Will. So there is that.
I think I just rammed the Library into it.
Yeah, I think you do too, because if they have like Force Jace, then you're happy with that. And it leaves them with one card in your hand. You have Loam. This back to basics really is hurting them more than us.
Oh.
Jeez.
No,
so
no blue card.
All right, we're way ahead now.
Yeah, they have wastelanded me twice and themselves once, and one of those things is more relevant than the other currently. Oh, okay.
Well, that's fine. So they had the answer.
Yeah,
So
I'm so glad that just didn't like go after my Mox Diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
I would attack and then play the Mox and Loam.
Yep, we get to draw 3 cards, which is like drawing 3 Lotus Petals.
Yeah. So yeah, play Mox, and then you don't have to fetch here. You can leave that fetch to be an Arbor, and you can Loam and get the Wasteland back and hit their Valk, even though it's tapped. It's still like something. And they also missed a land drop, so it's really good for us.
Yeah, I still just do this, right? Like,
yep.
on the off chance that this disappears for some reason.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt you in any way, and you're not doing anything else. You don't need the extra mana right now because you've got 4 mana available to you. If they go EE here, that sucks, but like, you know, haven't seen it the last 2 games. Okay, so they found the Bob answer.
Does this
must have been
Does this first fetch just become a Dryad Arbor? No, that's only
Yeah.
one damage, so that doesn't make sense. Never mind.
Well, I mean, there's an argument, like, you getting in for 1 is not nothing. And you have the Loam. I mean, I don't know.
I'm gonna go with no.
All right.
And I don't think I want to be doing that.
No, because Back to Basics is out, Punishing Fire isn't as good.
Okay.
That's fine.
I don't actually hate resolving this because
No.
it just like invalidates Snapcaster Mage and weakens AK.
They have a Force of Will in their hand plus something. If they force here, they have 0 cards, and like, that's fine.
Awesome.
Okay. So they may have let it resolve because their blue card was like a Jace or something. But I don't know. Yep. Yep. Had a feeling. They always have it.
So I'm going to eat their Swords to Plowshares here.
Yep. And then I would fetch for Dryad Arbor now.
And just like guarantee get the 1 hit on Jace.
Yeah.
So that they can't unsummon again.
It kind of sucks that it's going to stay tapped, but like, you know, I don't think you Loam. Ugh, the beats. So yeah, hit Jace. And then play the Scavenging Ooze.
And I don't think I Loam because it kind of costs me mana. Like,
yeah, it doesn't really do anything right now.
I would be most afraid of like Portent into Terminus here.
Yeah, also keep your clock in mind too.
All right, targeting themselves.
There's no creatures to eat, so there's a world where dredging Loam is an option, although that's not great odds.
I think my opponent probably has at least 1 interactive spell if they're...
Yikes.
I'm going to dredge. I think we want to try to hit that creature, right?
That's, yeah. I mean, that's one thing, but you also could hit like an Ajani. Well, you took out 4 knights too. I mean, you've got 4 Bobs, a Thalia, a Knight of Bottom.
Okay, yeah, that's too risky.
Teague.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I would trophy the Jace, I think, because you want it off the table.
All right, let's see if they have the 2.
God. I hate miracles so much. Was that a blind, or did they didn't even brainstorm last turn?
No, they plussed on themselves. So now my ooze isn't good enough unless a creature hits the bin.
Yeah, you can definitely try and hit the creature. There's an argument for that.
It's just
but there's
low chances.
There's also an argument to hit like Marchesa, Johnny, Braska, any other number of bombs.
So they bottomed this turn.
Meaning they don't have a 2-drop, probably? Or they don't know if they do. Well, so you have to keep attacking Jace. The issue here is, like...
Ambush Viper, Snapcaster Mage is pretty insane.
Yeah, well, you have Thalia, but, like, now you're just super dead to a Terminus. I don't know if you can play around it, though. Like, you have the Caracas, so that's one Caracas activation.
The problem is, like, the 2's probably on top again.
Well, they bottomed, so they don't think they know. Nope.
No, they can't brainstorm now. Spell Snare. Please don't Spell Snare me.
You might time out.
That's also very true.
Yeah.
If the Jace is off the table, I will not time out.
It just sucks. I mean, I feel like they've drawn, like, exceptionally well the last 2 games.
It's obnoxious.
Yeah. Fine. I mean, if they want to use it that way, whatever. You actually can eat the Thalia now.
Oh, that is very true. This isn't the end of the world.
No, so you can now kill the Jace. Just watch your clock, I think.
Yeah, Arkin, you're right. I totally should have done that main phase. If I would have, like, first main phase, cast the Thalia, and it gets countered, then, like, the ooze grows by 1.
That's a really good point. I should have seen that myself.
Yeah, we're watching the clock more than anything else at this point.
Yeah. It's also hard. It's, like, weird. I don't know if you feel this way. It's weird. I catch a lot less when I'm, like, on stream with somebody.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I don't know if you feel that way when you're streaming. It's just, like, weird to keep track of more things.
Yeah, I say a bunch of stupid stuff on stream that, like, very clearly is wrong, like, just kind of, like, looking at the board and remembering things that have already occurred, but,
yeah,
like, your attention is divided.
Ugh, worst draw in your deck. At least you can kill the Jace now, maybe. Hopefully. They're nice.
Neat.
Yay! Alright. I just pass. You're just out of consideration for the clock. Come on, deck. Not bad. So now this gets past Snapcaster. Okay, sure. 1 minute.
We'll try again.
Just keep attacking. Yikes.
Oh, great, that resolved. That's awesome.
All right, F6 hard. They find entreat, you're dead, but other than that, you might be okay. They're on a 1-turn clock. You have 40 seconds. This is pretty intense. Oh, shit. Wow.
All right. So like we both kind of like mentioned this separately, but the Miracles experiences that we've had today have been much harder than my experiences with Miracles I've had off stream playing this deck. Like so many times when I've been playing off stream, I've just like played one of like these planeswalkers in the post board game and just like completely obliterated the game because of it. Counting Marchesa as the honorary planeswalker.
Yeah, and we never saw any of those walkers in any of the games that match. But I actually like Scavenging Ooze was like the MVP in this league, and people say that it's like one of those cards you can cut, and I just 100% disagree. I think the card's still great in certain circumstances right now. Teague was also very good in some of those matchups.
Yeah, I especially don't like the idea of cutting Scavenging Ooze when there's a bunch of like random graveyard, either graveyard value or graveyard based combo decks running around. Like, yes, Scavenging Ooze isn't fast enough a lot of times, but it at least gives you an angle to try to interact from, and it will steal games.
Yeah, it's really very good against other decks with Knight. It's great against decks like Dredge and Reanimator. It's great against AK Miracles, as you saw. It's good against Delver. I still think it's like definitely has earned its spot in the deck, as has Teague. I'm still pretty happy with the way the deck's played out. I still like 2 Trophy. I think we played pretty well. The only decision that was weird was that Marchesa won match 1, but otherwise, you guys saw how good this deck is right now. I think we like cleaned house against Death and Taxes, Maverick, and Delver, and
yeah, and we came back from what looked to be a pretty bad spot versus Delver as well.
Yeah. We were able to do that with Skoos, and I think like the deck. I just don't feel like the deck has like if you learn how to play this deck, it just does not have a lot of weaknesses in this meta right now. I think it's like super well positioned. Sneak and Show, at least in paper, has pretty much been pushed out of the format.
Yeah, agreed. It just doesn't feel like a good time to be playing most combo decks. In my opinion, a lot of decks like Sneak and Show and Ant that were previously sort of like the best combo decks of the format really feel mediocre. Like the Death Shadow Delver decks are just interacting with so much discard and counter magic and incredibly swift clocks. And even your control decks are playing like him, Snapcaster, him.
Yeah, and you saw like we got to beat Ant as well, which was pretty sweet.
All right.
Yeah, I think like the deck's really good, and if people have questions, they can feel free to message me or ask me. And I'd like to say thank you again, Phil, for having me. This was great, a lot of fun, and I'm hope we'll do it again sometime.
All right. So, folks, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. Again, my name was Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University. If you enjoyed my content today, please follow to see more legacy content like this, including the occasional special guest from time to time. I'll see you all hopefully again on Wednesday, where I'll be doing a D&T stream and doing a giveaway where you have your chance to get your own donation deck list added into the queue, but for free, minus the donation. And if you're really liking my content, consider doing something like doing a donation deck list or subscribing to support my content. I'm one donation away from my next guest stream. Cheers, folks. I'm going to send you over to XJ Cloud momentarily. Have a good evening and good night.